Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is story about what if Naruto uses lightning during the Chunin exams part 1. Before I start, please do support for more amazing content and comments for part 2. Do consider to subscribe my channel and share my video to your friends and check out the description as well. Let's start the video. Luck was a very foreign concept to Naruto. It was just something that rarely happened to him. But when it did so happen to stumble onto the boy, it was not a very nice visitor. Naruto Uzumaki was not a very lucky person. Well, most people wouldn't call orphans lucky. But Naruto took his lack of luck to an extreme level. The day he was born, he was hated by society. The villagers of Konoha, the village hidden in the leaves, seemed to outright hate the boy. The insults, unfair treatment, lack of attention, and the rare beatings were all thrown at Naruto. The village held nothing back from him. Today was just another chapter into Naruto's shitty and unlucky life. An hour ago he was locked in his room in the orphanage. He was listening to the sound of the rain hitting the roof. Suddenly 2 men and his caretaker walked into his room. Naruto immediately noticed that the 2 men were carrying weapons. The caretaker turned to the 2 men and smiled. She then walked out of the door, locking it in the process. "Oh, I am so going to enjoy this," one of the men said. Naruto started to slowly crawl back as the men started to walk towards him. Naruto's eyes widened as he felt his back impact against the wall. He looked up and saw the 2 men staring at him with a predatory look in their eyes. Tears started to pool into Naruto's as he tried to stop the unavoidable. Please don't hurt me," Naruto whimpered pathetically. One of the men sneered and came across Naruto's face with his club. Naruto slammed into the wall roughly and slid to the ground with a groan. Naruto could tell that the man had broken his jaw, gave him a black eye, and he could feel the massive amount of blood pooling into his mouth. This did not worth Naruto, as he felt the usual rush of chakra go to his cheek and immediately felt his wounds start to heal. Naruto looked up in fear as the 2 men descended on him. They proceeded to beat him violently. At one point the caretaker came to check on the 2 men. The other orphans quietly followed her, wondering why she was up so late at night. They watched in fascination as the adults continued to beat on Naruto. Naruto managed to lock eyes with each of the orphans. He began to plead and beg them for their help, but none of them attempted to help him. After about a half hour, the adults stopped beating on Naruto. They then roughly grabbed him and threw him into the streets. And even worse for Naruto, it was a stormy night. Naruto got up as the door slammed behind him loudly. He hissed in pain and started to limp off into the streets. The storm had managed to shut down all of Konoha. No shop or stand was open. Naruto was left deserted in the streets. After several minutes of painful walking, Naruto had managed to walk into the village's center. To his left stood the Hokage Tower. There worked the Hokage, the strongest ninja in the village, Hiruzen Sarutobi. The Hokage was probably the only one in the village that showed even an inkling of love towards Naruto. The Hokage tried his best to support Naruto while trying not to look biased towards him. Unfortunately, he was not able to do much. It only got Naruto a couple trips to the ramen stand. But that was not enough to compensate for the treatment of the villagers. All around him stood the shops and stands of the people who hated him. The ones that tortured and abused him. They all surrounded him. Naruto was not a very lucky person indeed. Now statistically the chances of ever getting struck by lightning in anybody's life is 1 in 50,000. The chance of getting struck by lightning in a year is 1 in 700,000. Now the chance of ever getting struck in any living moment is 1 in 8,987,657. Now it would take a very unlucky person to get struck by lightning ever. Fortunately for lightning and unfortunately for Naruto, he was a very unlucky person. Naruto felt the lightning before he heard the thunder. He felt the air around him electrify. When he looked up, he saw a white streak that was coming straight towards him. Before Naruto could even move, the lightning hit him, head first. Naruto felt a searing hot pain streaming through his body. His muscles screamed in pain as the high amount of electrical energy tore through them. He fell to the ground in a sizzling and spasming pile of flesh. Naruto lay unconscious in the middle of the village. The rain pounded against his body. The ground beneath him was burnt black. It was a bad day for Naruto indeed. Early next morning, Hiruzen Sarutobi led a very exciting life. He had met and personally befriended the 1st, 2nd, and 4th Hokages. He had fought through 3 great shinobi wars. He had become Hokage, retired, and then became Hokage again. It was a very exciting and fulfilling life. But the one thing that always bothered him was a boy named Naruto Uzumaki. Now Hiruzen was there for Naruto's birth, and since that day he knew that he would be a special boy. But as of lately he has doubted his earlier judgment. Naruto's potential seemed to have been snuffed out by the villagers. Hiruzen walked out of the Hokage Tower, stretching himself out. He had stayed overnight in an attempt to overcome his infinite amount of paperwork. Unfortunately, he had lost the battle. Hiruzen began to walk towards the village square, as it was a stop during his usual early morning walk. There was a large crowd gathering in the center of the village. It was weird that this huge amount of people would be up in Konoha. Hiruzen made it to the crowd. He started to push his way through the crowd. When he got the center, he saw a horrific sight. Naruto lay in the village center. The earth under him was scorched black. He lay on his back. His body would spasm at random occurrence. His hair was standing up on its end. Move! Hiruzen said. The crowd looked back and saw that a furious Hokage was standing behind them. They quickly cleared a way for him. Hiruzen rushed to Naruto and quickly grabbed him up in his arms. He immediately received a very strong electrical shock that sent him falling back several feet. He quickly jumped up with a surprised look on his face. "Anbu, get me a Suma," Hiruzen said. Two shadows seemed to flicker off in the distance. Hiruzen waited near Naruto for several seconds. He then turned to the villagers with a pissed-off look on his face. "If I find out that any of you did this to him, I will personally execute you and every single one of your family members. I will wipe your pathetic existence from the world if you did this," Hiruzen said. The villagers took a step back in fear. They knew that they did to do anything, but the pure anger in Hiruzen's voice made them truly believe that he would take the order through without hesitation and maybe a bit of pleasure. Asuma landed in the middle of the crowd. He looked at his father with a confused look on his face. Sarutobi pointed at Naruto. Asuma turned and saw the electrical currents coming off of Naruto. He nodded and then started to walk towards Naruto. He knelt down and held his arms out, and greenish glow started to surround his arm. He then slowly picked Naruto off of the ground. The electricity coming off of Naruto didn't seem to affect Asuma. Asuma made sure Naruto was secure and then jumped off towards the hospital. Once Sarutobi was sure Naruto was okay, he turned to the villagers. He had pure anger in his eyes. The villagers took a step back in fear when they saw the pure rage that was in their Hokage's eyes. "Umbu!" Hiruzen yelled. A squad of Umbu surrounded the crowd of villagers. "Take every single one of these civilians to Ibiki and Anko. I don't want any of them released until they are absolutely positive that they did not do this," Hiruzen said. The crowd of civilians erupted in an uproar of disapproval. But they were quickly silenced with a look from Sarutobi. The ANBU grabbed two villagers by their shoulders and teleported them to the interrogation center. Hiruzen sighed and then turned to the hospital. He then took off towards it with incredible speed. At the hospital, Hiruzen arrived at the hospital and met an enraging sight. Asuma was still in the waiting room, arguing with the receptionist. It seemed like the receptionist would not allow Naruto in. Now normally Asuma would just push past her, but with an injured Naruto in his arms, he couldn't risk injuring her further. Asuma patience had been extremely tested in the last hour. First his father calls him during his vacation. He then finds out that Naruto had been extremely injured by an attack by the villagers. Asuma sprinted at full speed towards the hospital while trying not to jostle Naruto. When he arrived, he thought the worst part was over. Unfortunately, he was wrong. This bitch of a receptionist would not allow him in with Naruto. It seems like they wouldn't heal the demon in this hospital. So for the 15 minutes, he had been arguing with her to let Naruto in. He didn't want to attack her in fear that if he left Naruto unattended, something would happen to him. Asuma was continuing to argue with the receptionist. Suddenly a blur shot past him and the receptionist suddenly disappeared. Asuma looked towards the direction that the blur shot to. He was surprised to see that his father was actually the unknown blur. Hiruzen had the receptionist pinned to the wall. His hands were enclosed around her throat. He turned back to Asuma. "Go and take him to operating room 9. I will send my personal doctor to deal with him. For now I will deal with this woman," Hiruzen said. Asuma nodded and then shot down the hallway. Hiruzen turned back to the receptionist. Her hands were scratching at his hand. "You dare to refuse the treatment of a civilian? This comes under treason. For that you must be executed," Hiruzen said. His grip started to increase and the receptionist's face started to change color. Hiruzen's grip still increased and the receptionist's resistance slowly became weaker. Suddenly a crack was heard in the waiting area. The receptionist fell to the ground with her head leaning at an awkward angle. Hiruzen stood above her with a furious look. He then turned and walked into the hospital's hallway, leaving a wait room full of terrified people. Outside of Operation Room 9, Hiruzen stood outside of Operation Room 9 with Asuma by his side. Asuma had dropped him into the room and Hiruzen's doctor had immediately appeared behind him. He had kicked Asuma out of the room and started to operate on Naruto. That had been 2 hours ago. Now Hiruzen and Asuma were waiting for the results. Hiruzen's doctor came out of the room. He had sweat coming down his forehead. His looked tired and worried. He looked towards Hiruzen with a sad look on his face. "Well, Hijomi, what's wrong with him?" Hiruzen asked. Hijomi led them into the room. They saw that Naruto was currently laid in a hospital bed. Sparks were flying off of his skin. "Well, I can safely tell you that nobody in this world did this to Naruto," Hijomi said. Hiruzen looked in confusion. Hijomi started to explain. "You see, Naruto's body seems to be overflowing with electrical energy. So much that it is actually producing sparks and giving them off. His body has literally been electrified. If I had to guess, he was probably struck by lightning," Hijomi said. Hiruzen became even more shocked. He was struck by lightning? What did this do to his body? Is he going to be okay? Hiruzen asked. Hijomi turned to Naruto. Normally when a person gets struck by lightning head-on, the heat would normally kill them instantly. Now if you were close to a lightning strike, the excess electricity that the lightning creates would enter your system and kill you then. And this happens if they are not directly hit. Naruto was hit head-on. This should have killed him instantly, but due to his occupant he managed to survive. The lightning entered his body and seemed to bound with his. The best example for him now is a living lightning bolt. Each one of his cells is electrically charged. His blood flow has sped up, and his nervous system, due to being receiving information via electrical charges, is now enhanced. The strangest part is his chakra though. The lightning seems to have bonded with his chakra. He will most definitely have a lightning nature. His chakra flow is extremely fast at this point, Hijomi said. Hiruzen seemed to surprise at the news. So far, nothing seemed to be wrong with Naruto except for the physical damage. Also something strange has happened, Hijomi said. Hijomi reached for a scalpel and held it near Naruto. The scalpel seemed to shake and move towards Naruto. Hijomi caught it before it could reach him. It seems like the excess lightning chakra has created a magnetic field around his body that attracts metal towards him, Hijomi said. Hiruzen looked confused. To him all of this sounded like good news except for the magnetic field. So why was Hijomi sad? Unfortunately, the lightning also had some effects on his brain. The brain was overcharged with electrical energy, so it basically just stopped working. He is in a coma, Hijomi said. Hiruzen looked in fear when he heard this news. His successor's son was now possibly brain dead. Is there anything we can do? Hiruzen asked. Normally we would try to shock his brain back into working, but due to the excess chakra just lying in there, we are not sure if it will overcharge it, and he will die, or it could have some other effects. So we can do nothing for now, Hijomi said. Hiruzen buried his face into his hands. Sobs escaped through his tough facade. Asuma rubbed Hiruzen back. I am sorry, Hiruzen, but there is nothing we can do. All we can do is wait and hope, Hijomi said. Hiruzen collected himself and stood up. Keep him attached to life support. I want daily updates on his condition. I will be in my office, Hiruzen said to Hijomi. Hiruzen turned to Asuma. Asuma, you can go home if you would like, Hiruzen said. Asuma shook his head. No, I think I will stay for a little, Asuma said. Hiruzen nodded and then disappeared in a shunshin. Asuma walked into the room that contained Naruto. He slowly walked over to his bed. He looked down on him with a worried look on his face. Oh, Naruto. I hope you are okay, Asuma said. What Asuma didn't know was that Naruto was currently going through a very weird situation. Naruto's Mindscape. Naruto lay face down in a shallow pool of water. He suddenly shot up with a confused look on his face. He looked around to see where he was. His surroundings looked similar to a sewer. Pipes ran through it. The only thing that was weird about it was that electricity seemed to be running and going through the pipe. Naruto also noticed that the water he was standing in had a slight electrical current. Where the heck am I? Naruto thought. Naruto shrugged and started to walk forward. The sewer still remained relatively same. The only thing that changed was the shape of the pipes. After what seemed like hours of walking, Naruto came upon a dead end. This dead end had a giant metal gate. The gate seemed to be held together by a piece of paper with strange designs on it. Naruto walked up to the cage with a confused look on his face. He squinted his eyes in an attempt to see farther in it. Unfortunately, he could see nothing. Suddenly Naruto saw movement in the very back of the cage. A shadow seemed to be moving closer and closer towards the bars. Naruto slowly took a step back. Suddenly a gigantic fur-covered hand shot out towards Naruto. Naruto closed his eyes in fear and anticipation. Instead of pain, Naruto heard a sizzling noise. He also heard a yelp of pain. Naruto slowly opened his eyes to see what happened. The giant fur-covered claw was now revealed to be connected to a giant fox. The fox had red fur and had nine tails flowing hypnotically behind it. Naruto stared in shock and awe at the gigantic creature. What do you want, boy? The fox asked with anger. Naruto just stared in shock. After several seconds of silence, the fox seemed to be getting agitated. It suddenly let out a loud roar that immediately shocked Naruto out of his frozen state. What was that for? Naruto asked. I asked you a question? I expect it to be answered intelligently, not with a dumb stare, the fox said. Naruto huffed in anger at the light insult. He then looked up at the fox with amazement in his eyes. Who are you? Naruto said. The fox seemed to contemplate whether or not it should answer. In the end, it decided it would. I am the All Might Kyuubi, leader and most powerful of the tailed beasts, Kyuubi said. Naruto looked Kyuubi with confusion still masking his face. What are the tailed beasts? Naruto asked. The tailed beasts are beasts made completely of chakra. We terrorize and destroy the world. We are feared by everyone, Kyuubi said. Naruto nodded his head in understatement. He then started to look around the sewer. Where are we and why didn't you attack me? Naruto said. Kyuubi sighed in frustration. It really didn't feel like answering all these questions. But it decided to humor the boy. This is your Mindscape, boy. It is a representation of your sanity, and your happy place. Unfortunately, it is not so happy. And the reason I cannot attack you because of that infuriating lightning strike, Kyuubi said. Naruto understood everything up till the lightning strike. What lightning strike are you talking about? Naruto asked. You remember that bright light you saw before you fainted? Kurama said. Naruto nodded. Well, that was lightning. Due to my chakra running through you, you managed to survive the lightning strike. But the lightning had some effects on your body. That is why the water is electrified. Your body has electricity running all throughout it. Kyubi said. Naruto looked in amazement at the new news. Unfortunately, you are in a coma right now, so it really doesn't matter what powers you have gained from it. Kyubi said. Naruto's face suddenly dropped. He knew what a coma is because he had almost been put in one during one of his harsher beating. This was very bad news for him. Naruto then looked up at Kyubi. One last question. Why are you here? The history book said that you were killed by the fourth Hokage. Naruto said. The Kyubi sighed and sat down. Its tails were still moving hypnotically behind it. Your fourth Hokage didn't kill me. Nobody can kill a tailed beast. He actually sealed me inside of you. This is why the villagers hate you. Kyubi said. Naruto looked in shock at the news. Why, you are the reason why everybody hates me? Naruto asked. Kyubi let out a small laugh. Yes, I am, and I really don't give a fuck about it. It is not my fault that your stupid Hokage forget that containers are hated. Don't blame me, blame your Hokage. Kyubi said. Naruto still looked in shock at the news. Now he knew why they hated him. Now he knew why they called him demon. Now he knew why he wasn't loved. It was all because of a stupid fox. Didn't I just tell you, Tad, it wasn't my fault? Now I know you really are stupid. Kyubi. Naruto grew angry at Kyubi's words. Well, fuck you. I will never allow you to escape this cage, you overgrown flea bag. Naruto said. Naruto felt a rush of wind blow past him as Kyubi tried to attack. Once Kyubi's claw got close, an arch of lightning came from the ceiling and shocked Kyubi. He let out a low growl before slinking back into his cage. One day, boy, I will escape, and when that day comes, my claws shall taste the precious blood that remains in your defeated body. Kyubi said. Naruto stuck his middle finger up and looked Kyubi in the eyes. You will never escape. You'll train and become so powerful that you will have no choice but to submit to me. Naruto said. Kyubi let out a gigantic laugh at this. Good luck doing that in a coma, dumbass. Kyubi said. Naruto's attitude immediately deflated as that fact was once again thrust into his face. He sat down across from Kyubi as he realized he could do nothing. All he could do was wait. 2 months later. It had been 2 months since Naruto had been sent in a coma. Things had changed extremely for Konoha. Hiruzen would let nobody except for him, Asuma and Hijomi, enter the room. He also made them swear to secrecy. The villagers thought that Naruto was dead and had celebrated 2 weeks into Naruto's coma. Hiruzen had immediately tried to stop the parties. Unfortunately, he could not barge into other people's houses and stop them from celebrating. The sounds of cheering and celebration haunted Hiruzen for weeks. In the hospital, nothing had really changed. Naruto was still hooked up to life support. His room was sealed off and only Hiruzen and Hijomi were allowed in the room. Naruto lay motionless in his hospital bed. Of course, Hiruzen couldn't keep it completely quiet that Naruto was not dead. A small leak managed to get out to the public. Now normally, most people would be happy if the person they hated were in a coma. Unfortunately for Naruto, Konoha civilians weren't normal. The villagers gathered together and started to charge the hospital. It was a quiet, dark night in Konoha. The village was calm. The lights were out, the children were sleeping, everything was fine. What is this? We find a large group seemingly sneaking through the village. If we take a closer look, we see that most of this group is made out of civilians due to their actual lack of stealth. The civilians slowly stalked their way towards the hospital. Once they reached it, one of the figures in the crowd stalked forward. It reached inside of their pockets and pulled out a key and unlocked the door to the hospital. No alarm was set off. The crowd slowly filed into the hospital waiting room. When the person who had the key made sure that everybody was in, they locked the door behind them. The person with the key then started to lead them through the winding halls of the hospital. They stopped in front of a room with a large 9 above the door. Okay, he is in room 9. A figure said in the crowd. The civilians all filed into the room. It was a tight fit, but they managed. They all surrounded Naruto with their makeshift weapon drawn. On the count of 3, we end this demon's life. The leader of the group said. All of the occupants of the room minus Naruto let out a yell of acceptance. 1, 2, inside of the seal. For the past 2 months, a lot of things have changed between Naruto and Kyubi. And by a lot, I mean a little. Kyubi would repeatedly send insults towards Naruto that seemed to get more and more obscene with each one. Naruto would take the insults in stride and respond with his own. It was a hate-hate relationship. Naruto was currently sitting in an open field with his eyes closed. He had figured out how to change his Mindscape in the first month. He had changed it into a forest, reminiscent of the forest of death, but the sunlight managed to reach the floor. Unfortunately for Kyubi, he decided not to let him get too much freedom. Kyubi was attached to a gigantic tree that was larger than him. He had a very short leash that stopped him from doing anything. Suddenly Naruto heard Kyubi let out a low laugh. Naruto looked at him with confusion. Hey dumbass, some of your oh so precious villagers are attacking your body. Kyubi said. Naruto flinched in fear. What am I going to do? Naruto said. Kyubi gave off a loud yawn before stretching lazily. Fuck if I care. Deal with it yourself. Kyubi said before going further into his cage. Naruto sighed and started to rack his in an attempt to think of a way to escape his kama. Suddenly a kanji appeared in front of him. After struggling to decipher the kanji, due to his lack of education, finally managed to understand it. It said lightning. Naruto, not having any other options, hit the kanji and it disappeared in a spray of electricity. Outside in the real world. 3. The villager said. All of the villagers jumped at Naruto. But suddenly they heard a loud boom that froze them all in their tracks. Only now did they take into account of the sparks that were flying off of Naruto. Oh shit. One of the villagers said. They heard a loud rumble and saw a bright flash of light. The last thing they felt was intense pain. The last thing they saw was Naruto getting struck by lightning again. With the Hokage, the past 2 months had been hell for the Hokage. The day after Naruto was struck by lightning, the news that he was in a coma was immediately spread into the village. Of course the villagers thought he was dead. Celebration was spread throughout the village. Ninja and civilians alike celebrated the death of Naruto Uzumaki. Hiruzen immediately ran into the streets to stop the celebration. The only thing he managed to do was to send the celebrations into the villagers' houses. Yes, things had not been good for Hiruzen. Hiruzen was staring out of his window on a late, clear night. He had not been able to get much sleep in the last 2 months. He had opted to stare out of the windows onto the village. Honestly, he was really staring at the hospital that contained Naruto. He really wondered when he would come out of his coma or if he even would. Hiruzen found a weird occurrence start to appear over the hospital. Black clouds started to swirl over the hospital. Hiruzen then heard a loud blast of thunder. He flinched as the thunder almost deafened him. Suddenly he saw a red lightning bolt come soaring out of the clouds. The lightning broke through the roof of the hospital and seemed to reach towards the ground floor. Naruto. Hiruzen whispered before disappearing in a burst of speed. At the hospital, villagers lay dead surrounding Naruto's bed. Naruto groggily rose from his bed. He opened his eyes and the first sight that greeted him were the dead bodies of some of his more outspoken haters. Strangely, he didn't feel remorse. He actually felt happiness, excitement maybe? Naruto did not understand why he felt happy about seeing these people dead. Hiruzen crashed through the window. He looked around the room and was surprised to see the huge amount of dead civilians. He was also surprised to see that Naruto was actually awake. Naruto-kun, what happened? Did you see that lightning bolt? Hiruzen said. Naruto slowly turned around and the shock that greeted Hiruzen's eyes was surprising. Naruto's once blue eyes were now electrifying yellow. What's wrong, Aji-san? Naruto said. Nothing, Naruto-kun. Just go back to sleep. Hiruzen said. Just awoken from a coma, Naruto was actually still tired. So he happily agreed and laid back to sleep. Hiruzen silently signaled his umbu and picked up the dead bodies around Naruto. They noticed that parts of their bodies were melted. They were confused on what killed them but regardless picked up the bodies and took them away. In Naruto's mindscape, Naruto reawakened inside of his mindscape. He saw the Kyubi was still sitting there patiently for him. Surprised to see that you aren't dead yet, Kyubi said. Naruto stuck his tongue out and then stretched. He laid his body against the soft ground and promptly fell to sleep. Kyubi stared at Naruto with malice in his eyes. Your ignorance shall be my freedom, Kyubi said. The next morning, Naruto woke up the next morning. He lazily stretched his muscles and jumped out of bed. He rushed out of his door and immediately slammed into a nurse. The nurse started to apologize but then she saw whom she was actually apologizing to. Hey boy, get back into your room, the nurse said. Naruto stuck out his tongue and sped away. The nurse noticed that Naruto was actually faster than most kids his age, ninja or not, should be. Naruto sped through the villagers, running in between adults' legs and zigzagging through the crowds. He noticed that he seemed much faster than usual. To the villagers who watched Naruto, they noticed that he was leaving a yellow outline of himself when he ran. After several minutes of running, Naruto arrived at the only restaurant, if it could be called that actually served him. Naruto plopped himself onto a chair. I am Chan, I am back, Naruto yelled. A young woman stepped out from the back of the restaurant. The woman had long, brown hair with brown eyes and fair skin. She wore a white robe with the sleeves folded with a dark blue apron. Naruto-kun, it's so nice to see you. Where were you? How are you? Are you okay? I am said as she ran over to Naruto and gave him a hug. I'm okay, I am Chan. I was just in a coma, Naruto said cheerfully. I am let out a sweat drop at the way Naruto just said he was in a coma. She decided to drop it and start on Naruto's regular order. You should rape her. She has a fine figure, Kyubi said within Naruto's mind. Naruto looked around in fear at first thinking that the Kyubi had broken free. But after seeing no traces of the gigantic demonic fox, Naruto figured the fox was speaking from his seal. Stop talking in my mind, Naruto yelled out loud. I am and the rest of the occupants of the stand looked at him with confusion. When they saw what spoke out loud, they returned to their meals, ignoring the demon brat. Hiruzen walked into the ramen shop minutes after Naruto started to eat. He sat down in the seat next to him and placed his hand on Naruto's shoulder. Naruto, I know that you were kicked out of the orphanage and I apologize for that. But I found you a new apartment, and I have a surprise for you," Hiruzen said. Naruto stopped eating and slurped the last bit of ramen that was in his mouth. He turned to Hiruzen. "What is it, Aji-san?" Naruto said. "Naruto, how would you like to join the Ninja Academy?" Hiruzen said. "Of course I want to join," Naruto yelled before hugging Hiruzen. Hiruzen chuckled and let Naruto hug him. It was the least he could for the boy. "That is good. Now let's get you to your new apartment," Hiruzen said. Hiruzen paid for Naruto's meal and walked out of the stand with Naruto. While Naruto was walking through the streets, he noticed the looks of hatred he was getting from the villagers. 2 months ago, he would have shied away from looks. But now, for some reason, the looks agitated him. He was pissed. Naruto raised his middle finger and flipped off all of the villagers. The villagers looked in shock as a 5-year-old just flipped them off. Hiruzen saw what Naruto was doing and stopped walking to scold him. "Kill them all. Give them a reason to hate you. Make them fear you," Kyubi said. Naruto shook his head to get Kyubi's voice out of his head. "Naruto-kun, you should not do that to the villagers. You should respect them," Hiruzen said. Naruto fiercely turned to Hiruzen. Hiruzen noticed that he had passion burning in his eyes. "No, not anymore, Aji-san. I am tired of dealing with their bullshit. I am not going to lie down and take it anymore. If they want to give me those dirty looks, I will feel free to do the same," Naruto said. Hiruzen looked in shock at Naruto's declaration. "I am tired of it, Aji-san. I am not taking it anymore. I am Naruto Uzumaki, damn it. And I am not going to take their shit anymore," Naruto said. Naruto and Hiruzen didn't know, but that proclamation started a ripple through the ninja world. That proclamation had sent the ninja world. The boy struck by lightning was about to be introduced onto the ninja world. It had been 3 weeks since Naruto had awakened from his coma. After his outburst with Hiruzen, Hiruzen had taken him to his new apartment. The apartment wasn't anything too special, but it was perfect for Naruto. It had a small kitchen with a single bedroom. It had plenty of closet space with a living room that was big enough to fit a TV and a couch. Naruto immediately fell in love with the apartment. It was stocked fully with food and bookshelves that contained books concerning first-year academy education. Naruto was now outside facing a tree with a determined look on his face. You see, most 5-year kids spend their time playing with their friends or their toys. But Naruto was different. He had been pushed around too much in his opinions. So he drove himself into training. The first thing he realized was that his chakra control was shit. It took him almost 3 full weeks to get the leaf exercise together. This consisted of him trying to stick a leaf, or several leaves, on his body using only his chakra. Most of the time the leaf would blow away as soon as it made contact with his skin. But Naruto was not undeterred. After weeks of training he managed to get the leaves on his body. But now he faced his greatest challenge so far. Tree climbing. Now, just from the title, most people would think this was a simple task even for civilians. Unfortunately for young ninjas in training, this was a hard task. Naruto had to use chakra to stick himself onto the tree and climb up it. This was a chakra control exercise that was meant to sharpen his chakra control. Naruto took off running off towards the tree. Naruto sped towards the tree with lightning-fast speed, at least for a 5-year-old. He approached the tree and slammed his foot against it. His other foot slammed roughly against the bark. Naruto took another step that sent him several more feet up the tree. Naruto was about to take another step when he felt himself losing grip. "Nuh!" Naruto said. Naruto's foot slipped off from the tree. His hands were thrown into the air in an attempt to grab a branch to hold him up. Unfortunately, there was nothing for him to hold. Naruto slammed roughly into the ground back first. He groaned in pain as waves of it were sent through his body. In the back of his mind he could hear Kyubi laughing at his pain. "Oh, you shut up, you stupid fox," Naruto said. This only made Kyubi laugh even more. Naruto stood up and looked at the tree. One day I will conquer you. I will defeat you, almighty tree. You and your children's saplings will bow down to me," Naruto said. The tree obviously did not answer Naruto. This only pissed Naruto off. Naruto heard some more chuckling from behind him. He turned around with an angry look on his face because he thought the other trees were mocking him. Instead it was Hiruzen. Naruto's face split into a wide grin. "Hey, Aji-san," Naruto said. Naruto ran over and gave Hiruzen a hug. Hiruzen returned the hug. "Naruto, how would you like to go shopping for the Ninja Academy?" Hiruzen asked. Naruto let out choruses of yes. Hiruzen laughed. "Okay, get yourself washed up and meet me outside of the apartment," Hiruzen said. Naruto yelled and ran into the house. 5 minutes later, Naruto bounded out of the house with shorts and a t-shirt on. His smile was beaming because he was excited to get some new things. Naruto ran up to Hiruzen and started to drag him through the village. Halfway through, Hiruzen flipped the positions and dragged Naruto to a weapons store. The weapons store was named Yamashita's Weapons. Naruto and Hiruzen walked through the doors of the store. The door had a bell connected to it, and it rung. The shoppers in the store all looked towards the newcomers. Their smiles grew when they saw Hiruzen but immediately fell when they saw Naruto. Hiruzen frowned and led Naruto through the store. Naruto marveled at the variety of weapons in the store. He completely ignored the looks from the other shoppers. Naruto ran from wall to wall in an attempt to soak up all of the weapons he could. He saw claws, gauntlets, swords, shurikens, kunai, branch sword, axes, arrows, bows and seals. Naruto enjoyed every second of the experience. Hiruzen noticed that whenever Naruto got close to a weapon, it would vibrate and seem to start moving towards him. Luckily the weapons were secured so Hiruzen didn't worry. Hiruzen in the meanwhile had walked up to the counter and started to talk to the owners. He noticed that the rest of the shoppers were still giving Naruto dirty looks. He also noticed that Naruto didn't seem to really care. He found that relieving and worrying. But he decided to think about that later. Hiruzen made it to the front desk and rung the bell. After several seconds a middle-aged man walked out of back of the store. "Ah Sanji, it is so nice to see you," Hiruzen said. "So nice to see you too, Hiruzen," Sanji said. The two exchanged a handshake and Hiruzen leaned onto the counter. "So why are you here, Hiruzen? I doubt you need any weapon except for your staff," Sanji said jokingly. Hiruzen laughed, and then pointed at Naruto. Sanji followed his finger and saw Naruto. His smile fell when he saw Naruto. Hiruzen's smile fell when he saw this. "Do you have a problem with Naruto, Sanji? 'Cause if you do then we are going to have a problem," Hiruzen said. Sanji waved his hands in protest. No, I don't have a problem with him. I have a problem with the way he is being treated. That boy is a hero. He doesn't deserve the type of treatment he gets," Sanji said. Hiruzen let out a sigh of relief. "Good, I wouldn't want our friendship to be ended by such a petty thing. Now I need to find Naruto a weapon. Something lightweight and fast for his small stature," Hiruzen said. "I think I have Jews." Sanji was interrupted when Naruto slammed the blade on the counter. "I want it," Naruto said. Hiruzen and Sanji looked at the blade. The sword was a scimitar that split off into two sharp ends. It wasn't too curved but was still very deadly. It was light and perfect for someone like Naruto. This was the weapon I was actually about to get you," Sanji said. Naruto completely ignored the man while staring at the sword. Sanji laughed when he saw this. Hiruzen chuckled when he saw the way Naruto stared at the blade. "It seems like Naruto has really found his weapon," Hiruzen said. Sanji chuckled and then rung up the weapon. "That will be 1,000 yen," Sanji said. Yen equals dollars. Hiruzen looked at Sanji with shock. He knew that he had to pay this with his own money since the council would have a fit if they found out that he was spending money on Naruto. "Hey Sanji, can I get a discount? You know, for your old friend?" Hiruzen asked. Sanji gave Hiruzen a look. The look that said "Don't fuck with me." Hiruzen sighed in defeat. He knew Sanji was cheap and wouldn't let money slip out of his pockets. Hiruzen dug his hand into his robe and took out his wallet. He reluctantly took out 1,000 yen. He placed it on the counter in defeat. Sanji chuckled evilly before taking the 1,000 yen. "Thank you for your wonderful purchase. Please feel free to browse more," Sanji said. Hiruzen groaned in defeat when he realized that he actually had to buy more stuff in the store. Sanji's wares may be expensive as hell but they were good quality. Hiruzen started to lead Naruto once again through the store. Naruto paid no attention to him as he looked at his new sword. The sword had carvings in it that seemed to meld at the handle. Naruto swung it once and he heard a swoosh sound from the sword. Naruto loved the sword. Hiruzen had finally managed to drag Naruto to the clothing section. Seeing that Naruto was still distracted, Hiruzen decided to pick out his cloths. He brought him several pairs of a pure black shirt and several pairs of navy blue pants. He brought him shinobi sandals and several sets of kunai and shuriken. He then led Naruto back up to the counter. "That will be 2,500 yen," Sanji said with a smirk on his face. At this point Hiruzen was basically dying at the prices. He once again reluctantly took out his wallet and paid Sanji. Sanji gleefully took the money and began to seal the objects into a scroll. By this point, Naruto had finally gotten out of the shock of getting a new object. He looked up at Hiruzen with tears in his eyes. Hiruzen looked confused. Didn't Naruto enjoy his new gifts? "Why are you crying, Naruto-kun?" Hiruzen asked. Naruto let out a couple of sniffles before looking up at Hiruzen with a smile on his face. "I'm not sad, Aji-san. This is just the first time anybody has gotten anything for me," Naruto said. Hiruzen smiled sadly and then kneeled down. He engulfed Naruto in a hug for several seconds before releasing him. Naruto whipped away his tear and then took his new clothes. Hiruzen thanked Sanji and then started to lead Naruto out through the store. The shoppers who had actually stayed in the store looked at Naruto in disgust as he happily skipped out of the store. Hiruzen led Naruto out of the store and onto the streets. It seemed like several villagers had been waiting for Hiruzen to exit. A crowd of civilians surrounded Naruto and Hiruzen. "Hokage-sama, why are you buying this brat ninja clothes? Please don't tell me that you are planning to enroll him in the ninja academy. If so, then I can't allow my child to attend the same class as the boy," a random civilian said. Hiruzen frowned. Now he wasn't really frustrated with the statement the man made. He had actually been dealing with that all morning when he told the council he would be enrolling Naruto. He was angry that this civilian had the nerve to say it right into Naruto's face. Hiruzen looked at Naruto to make sure he was okay. He was surprised to see that Naruto looked more angry than mad. Hiruzen then remembered what Naruto had said early and smirked. "Well, Naruto-kun, seeing as you were so stern on your earlier proclamation, Why don't I let you handle this situation? Hiruzen said. Naruto looked up in shock at what his Aji-san. He seemed to mad at him yesterday, but now he was actually encouraging him. Naruto grinned and then nodded at Hiruzen. He then turned to the crowd of civilians with a fierce look on his face. First of all, I would to say that you are all pathetic in my eyes. Naruto started off with. All of the villagers flinched in surprise. Even Hiruzen was surprised at Naruto's bold language. You all hate a 5-year-old so much that you allow it to affect your life. That is very stupid. I have seen animals that have more smarts than you people. Now please get out of our way so I can go try on my new clothes. Naruto finished. All of the villagers stood in shock at Naruto's new attitude. Hiruzen was quietly laughing behind his hand at the villager's face. After several minutes of silence, and having an intense stare down, one of the bigger civilians stepped forward with a pissed-off look on his face. Why don't you shut up, you demon brat? You are pathetic and should have died with your whore of a mother, and that bitch of a father you had. The villager said. Kill that pathetic waste of space. Kyubi yelled within his mind. The man puffed out his chest and closed his eyes. The villagers behind him had smirks on their faces, thinking that he had just put the demon in his place. Hiruzen stood quietly behind Naruto. He was very pissed at the moment but wanted to see how Naruto would react. The man still had his eyes closed as he waited for the brats to retort. What he didn't know was that he had made a very bad mistake. Naruto had his head down, and his hair shadowed his eyes. If someone looked closely, they could see sparks flying off of his skin. The sparks started to become more visible as Naruto seemed to get angrier. After several seconds, even the civilians could see the sparks coming off of Naruto. The man started to get tired of waiting. It seems like the brat isn't as to the man wasn't able to finish as he saw Naruto speeding towards him. Naruto reached the man and buried his whole fist into the man's stomach. Naruto was so fast that the Umbu that were watching the situation lost track of him until he stopped moving. Naruto's punch was so powerful that it lifted the man off his feet. While the man was in midair, Naruto twisted his body. He moved his fist back down to the ground and man followed him. The man roughly slammed into the ground with a solid thud. Naruto retracted his fist and looked at the man. The man was groaning in pain, but he would also twitch at random occurrences. Don't you ever, and I mean ever, talk about my parents. I want you to tell this to all of your friends that seem to hold a grudge against me. I am not taking it anymore. From now on I am going to protect myself. Naruto said before sliding back next to Hiruzen. Humph. It's not killing, but it's good enough for now. Kyubi said. Hiruzen stood in shock at Naruto's speed and power. A 5-year-old had managed to lift a grown man off of his feet. He was also surprised at the sparks that seemed to be coming off of Naruto. It seemed like whatever effects Naruto got from the lightning, it was permanent. Good job, Naruto-kun. Hiruzen said while ruffling Naruto's hair. Hiruzen smiled and then turned to the group of civilians. As for you, guy, I honestly don't care whether or not your bigotry will not allow your children to join Naruto in learning the ninja arts. Hiruzen said. Hiruzen then turned to the down man. And as for you, I will not be arresting you today. I think the aspect of you getting your ass beat by a 5-year-old is punishment enough for a man like you. Hiruzen said with a smirk on his face. The man let out a groan of pain and completely ignored Hiruzen. Hiruzen stood up and then looked at Naruto. Well, why don't we go home, Naruto-kun? Hiruzen asked. Naruto nodded and Hiruzen led him through the stunned crowd. The villagers who were watching from a distance still threw Naruto looks of anger and disgust. But now Naruto would respond with his own looks or a middle finger. After several minutes, Naruto finally arrived at his home. After saying goodbye to Hiruzen, he entered his apartment. He put away his new clothes and got into his bed. It was a little early for him to go to sleep, but he was tired. Naruto fell asleep with a smile on his face. Naruto's Mindscape. Naruto opened his eyes to see himself back in his Mindscape. He saw Kyubi lazily sitting in his cage. When Kyubi saw Naruto, he let out a low growl. What the hell do you want, you damn brat? Kyubi said. Why can't we just be friends, Kyubi-san? Naruto asked innocently. Kyubi's claw came flying out of the cage and at Naruto. But once again an arch of lightning stopped it. It's because I want to kill you, idiot. I am the Nine-Tails Fox, a being made completely of chakra and hatred. I don't want to be your friend. The only reason I am even conversing with you is because I can't kill you. As soon as I escape, I shall feast upon your bones and quench my thirst with your blood. Kyubi yelled. Naruto, seeing that the Kyubi wouldn't change, became mad. Well, fine. You can sit here and rot in this cage. You'll never get out. Naruto yelled. Kyubi chuckled and sat down on its 4 legs. Even if I don't escape, boy, I will make your life yell. You can never escape me, boy. We are sealed, and for as long as that remains true, I will make sure to torture you. Now get out of my presence, Kyubi said before realizing a powerful roar. The roar blasted Naruto back into the darkness that seemed to inhabit his mind and out of his mindscape. Real world. Naruto shot out of his bed with sweat covering his body. After collecting himself, Naruto started his day. He put on a pair of his new clothes and ran straight outside to his dreaded enemy, the tree. He took a running start and put his foot onto the tree. He continued to slowly climb up the tree, 1 foot at a time. After several seconds, he finally made it to the top. He began to cheer in excitement. Unfortunately, he lost his concentration and fell back to the ground. He slammed back first into the ground. He groaned in pain and anger. Naruto jumped back up and attempted to walk up the tree again. This time he was successful and he was able to walk back down. Naruto continued this for half an hour. After that he was satisfied that he had gotten down tree climbing. It was also at that exact moment that Hiruzen came into Naruto's backyard. "Hey Naruto-kun. It's good to see you practicing your ninja techniques," Hiruzen said. Naruto turned around in surprise and smiled when he saw that his Aji-san was there. "Thank you, Aji-san. I want to be the best ninja in Konoha. I need to practice," Naruto said. Hiruzen chuckled at Naruto's enthusiasm. "That's good to know, Naruto-kun. I just wanted to tell you that the Ninja Academy starts in 2 weeks," Hiruzen said. Naruto nodded. Once Hiruzen made sure he was okay, he shined away, leaving Naruto to his thought. "I am going to need to step up my training," Naruto thought. "Well, trial and error hasn't failed me yet," Naruto said before diving back into his training with more vigor. 1 week and 6 days later, Naruto had gone through some rigorous training. He would force himself to go through different exercises such as push-ups, sit-ups, pull-ups, chin-ups. After finishing his physical exercises, he would then go into his house and read up on his books. Although Naruto hated reading, he knew that he had to learn in order to do well at the academy. That had been Naruto's schedule for the past 2 weeks, but tonight was the night before his first day of the Ninja Academy. Naruto decided to rest his body and mind. Naruto had set his clothes out and decided to go to sleep. Kyuubi also decided to let him get a full sleep so he didn't bring him into the Mindscape. Unfortunately, tonight was not the right night for that. Outside of Naruto's apartment, a small group of civilians and low-level ninja had gathered outside of Naruto's apartment. "Now this is the last chance for us to stop that demon from joining our children in that academy. I don't know about you guys, but I will not allow my daughter to stay in the same class as the demon," a man said. Once we got a closer look, we realized it was the same man that Naruto had attacked in the street. The small crowd of villagers let out a quiet yell of agreement. Once the man made sure that everybody was ready, he quietly snuck up to the apartment door. He kicked it open and a small crowd gathered into Naruto's living room. After several seconds of searching, they managed to find Naruto's bedroom. They all gathered in it and prepared to attack him. In Naruto's dream, Naruto was currently having a very pleasant dream. He was swimming in a pool of ramen. He had Ayam, the nice blonde lady that took him to the hospital once, and the nice lady with the purple hair that took care of him once, serving him ramen naked. And guess the 2 characters. Pretty easy. Now this may seem like a weird dream for a 5-year-old to have, but Naruto was no normal 5-year-old. All in all, Naruto was enjoying his dream. Naruto was currently nestled up to the lady with the blonde hair. Ayam was sitting to his right while the lady with the purple hair was to his left. Ayam was in the middle of feeding Naruto when his eyes suddenly snapped open. His dream dissolved in front of him, and he was thrown back into the real world. In the real world, Naruto's eyes suddenly snapped open and he was greeted to a not-so-pleasant sight. He was surrounded by what seemed to be civilians and low-level ninja. They all stared at them, and he stared back at them. It was a pretty awkward situation. What are you people doing in my apartment?" Naruto asked. "We are here to end your existence, demon," the same man said. All of the villagers cheered and then started to attack Naruto. Each one of the villagers had some type of weapons. They raised them in an attempt to attack Naruto. Unfortunately for both Naruto and the villagers, Naruto had not learned to fully control his magnetic field. Also, most of the weapons were metal. As the villagers came down with their weapons, they started to shake and slipped right out of the villagers' hands. The sight of over 30 weapons flying towards him woke Naruto up. He quickly sped out of his bed with his pajamas on. Naruto landed on his floor several feet away from the crowd. He growled and then shot towards his closet. He returned out of it with his scimitar. Naruto then charged the villager. "Yes. Spill their blood. Paint your walls with it," Kyuubi yelled with glee. The first person Naruto met was a civilian. Naruto appeared with his scimitar ready to slash the civilian. The civilian threw a sloppy punch that Naruto ducked under. While Naruto was crouched, he stabbed his scimitar into the villager's stomach. He retracted the sword and then dodged the falling body of the villager. Suddenly the small group of 5 genin jumped in front of Naruto. One of them threw a haymaker at Naruto's body. Naruto dodged to his left, but the other genin was waiting for him. Naruto slashed, but that genin countered with his kunai. The two were now engaged in a power struggle. Unfortunately for the genin, his kunai was metal. Naruto closed his eyes and the sparks started to come off of his skin stronger. Suddenly the genin started to shake randomly. The genin fell to the ground, twitching randomly. Naruto had managed to shock the genin using the electricity that came off his body. Naruto had no time enjoy his slight victory because of the other 4 genins. He turned around and saw 2 of the genins were flying towards him. Naruto held his palm up towards the one of the genin as he was flying to him. Suddenly a bolt of lightning came shooting out of his hand. The genin, being in midair, was not able to dodge the bolt. He fell to the ground, a twitching and burning mess. Naruto then had to duck under the other flying genin. The genin managed to kick Naruto's sword out of his hand in midair, then landed on his feet, and then jumped right back at Naruto. Naruto was about to jump up and dodge the genin, but he felt a growing heat on his back. Naruto figured it was a fireball and decided to dive right. The jumping genin slid under the fireball as the fireball hit Naruto's apartment wall. The apartment wall was immediately set ablaze. When Naruto saw that his apartment was once again about to be burned down, he started to get mad. His sparks started to become more visible. Naruto disappeared from the ninja's sight. The two ninja were confused at where Naruto was. Suddenly Naruto appeared in front of one of genin. His fist was covered in lightning. Naruto punched the genin and sent him flying into a wall. Naruto then threw another punch, but the genin dodged. Naruto continued to throw punches, but the genin dodged. The genin finally threw a punch that sent Naruto flying through the burning wall. Naruto landed roughly in the streets of Konoha. The two remaining genins appeared in front of Naruto with smirks on their face. The civilians that were in the apartment had filed out when they saw that the apartment was burning down. Now they watched from the sidelines as the ninja dealt with Naruto. Well, looks how far the demon has fallen. Any last words? One of the genin said. Naruto said nothing but closed his eyes. The genin took this as a sign of defeat and took out a kunai. Naruto opened his eyes and saw the kunai. His eyes suddenly brightened as if he had an idea. Suddenly sparks started to fly off of Naruto. This was the biggest amount that anybody had ever seen. The kunai came whizzing out of the genin's hand. Naruto moved his body so the kunai dug into his shoulder. The genin looked in surprise. Suddenly the genin heard a crash noise behind him. He turned around and saw that Naruto's scimitar was rocketing towards him. The scimitar buried itself hilt deep inside of the genin's chest. The other genin looked in shock as he saw that his partner had just died. Naruto saw that the other genin was distracted and quickly pulled the kunai out of his shoulder. He threw it, and it buried itself into the other genin's stomach. The surrounding civilians stood in shock that Naruto had just killed and injured 5 genins. Hiruzen landed in front of the scene several seconds later. He was shocked to see Naruto kneeling down on the ground with the bodies of 2 genins next to him. He was also surprised to see that Naruto's new apartment was now set ablaze. Naruto-kun, what happened? Hiruzen said. These people attacked me while I was asleep. I defended myself, but none of them set my apartment on fire. Naruto said with tears in his eyes. He was upset that he had already lost his new apartment. Defending myself, ha! You know you enjoyed every moment of killing those pathetic flesh bags. Kyubi said. Shut up, Kyubi. Naruto yelled within his mind. I'll shut up when you finally admit you enjoyed killing these humans. Kyubi said. Hiruzen glanced at the dead bodies. He secretly signaled his ANBU to take the dead to the medical center and take the injured and surrounding civilians to the interrogation and torture department. The ANBU dropped from the roof and took the civilians and ninja away. Why don't you stay with me tomorrow? You can stay with me until we find you somewhere else to live, Hiruzen said. Naruto nodded and then Hiruzen took them away back to his house. Hiruzen got Naruto to sleep and then Shine to the IEDD. When he got there, all of the civilians and ninja were in separate cells. A man stood in the middle of all of it. The man was tall and very intimidating. He had a bandana on and a scar running down his eyes. His face seemed to be set in stone. He had a black overcoat on. He was a Biki, leader of the IDD. What can you tell me, a Biki? Hiruzen asked. A lot, actually. They all seemed excited to tell about how they almost killed the demon the man Naruto embarrassed weeks ago seemed to put together the group. They waited till tonight and attacked. Their reason was because they didn't want Naruto learning the ninja arts. The genin did most of the work. Naruto killed each of the dead ninja and civilians. Ibiki said. Hiruzen nodded. Execute them all, Hiruzen said. Ibiki raised his eyebrow at this but nonetheless gave the order. Suddenly black gas filled the room. Screams could be heard coming from the cells. After about 20 seconds the screams stopped. The smoke was sucked out and nothing remained of the bodies. Hiruzen nodded in satisfaction. He said goodbye to Ibiki and Shine back home. He made sure Naruto was still asleep and returned to bed himself. Things were starting to get very interesting for Konoha. Last night was a very hectic night for Naruto. He was attacked by a group of villagers and shinobi. His new apartment and all of his new clothes were burnt down. And he had killed several people last night. The fact that he had actually killed someone came to him during the middle of the night. Strangely, he felt no remorse but only satisfaction that he had defended himself. After a while, he thought nothing of it and went back to sleep. But today was a very important day for Naruto. It was his first day at the Ninja Academy. Hiruzen had woken him up early and got him a new set of clothes. Now he was heading out towards the Ninja Academy. The villagers were still giving him dirty looks, but right now Naruto didn't care. All he was thinking about was how awesome his classes were going to be. After a 10-minute walk, he finally arrived at the Ninja Academy. It seemed like the teachers were not allowing anybody in yet. So every student and their parents were now waiting outside of the academy. As soon as Naruto stepped onto the campus, everyone's eyes landed on him. Naruto stood nervously as hundreds of eyes seemed to try to pierce into his soul. Slowly Naruto could see the piercing eyes turn into disgusted sneers. It seemed like each one of the parents hated Naruto. Naruto slowly put his head down to avoid the stares. After several seconds, one of the civilian parents decided to confront Naruto. "What are you doing here, demon?" the civilian said. "No matter what you do, no matter how much you help them, they will always hate you. In their eyes, all they see is a demon. You are pathetic if you think you can change that," Kyubi said in a mocking voice. Naruto growled but quickly composed himself. He turned to civilian with a wide smile on his face that seemed to scream innocence. "I came here to learn like your children," Naruto said. "Don't act like you are like my children, you disgusting piece of trash," the civilian said. Naruto clenched his fist in anger. He knew that he couldn't attack the civilians just because of insults. "Who says you couldn't? If they insulted me, I would have tore through their bodies," Kyubi said. "Look, I just want to learn. Please leave me alone and return to your children," Naruto said. The civilian kneeled down and came face to face with Naruto. "Are you threatening me, brat?" the civilian said while in Naruto's face. Naruto got closer and squinted his eyes in anger. "No, I'm advising you to go back to your children before you embarrass yourself," Naruto said. The civilian huffed and then reeled back his arm. He was about to punch Naruto, but his arm was stopped by a ninja. The civilian looked back at the ninja and the ninja shook its head at him. The civilian huffed again before lowering his arm. He shot Naruto a dirty look again before returning to his family. Naruto decided to leave the man alone and waited for the teacher to address the students. For now he had to deal with the massive amount of dirty he was receiving from the parents of the students. "I really hoped he punched you. I want to see you kill again," Kyubi said. After several minutes of pure agony for Naruto, the principal of the school came out to address the students and their parents. "Hello everybody. Today is a wonderful day for Konoha. For today we shall start the education of another great generation of Konoha ninja," the principal said. A roar of cheer from both the parents and students rang through the village. It seemed like everybody was excited for the start of his or her ninja careers. The principal nodded at the obvious excitement. "Well, I won't keep you waiting anymore. Students, file into the academy. A genin will guide you to your assigned classroom," the principal said. The students said their last goodbyes to their parents before running into the building. Naruto decided to wait for everybody to go in before going in himself. After several minutes, Naruto decided to go in. The lobby of the academy was still filled with students. He could see several students his age going in a certain direction and decided to follow them. After going through what seemed to be a maze of hallways, they finally arrived at their classroom. The genin guide led them in and closed the door when everybody was inside. Waiting for them in the room was a teacher. The teacher seemed very young. He had pineapple-shaped hair and a scar going across his nose. He had a gentle smile on his face. "Hello everyone, I am Irika Yumino, but you can call me Irika-sensei or Yumino-sensei. I will be your teacher during your time at the Ninja Academy," Irika said. The class nodded and started to file into the seats. Naruto, using his advanced speed, managed to get the seat that was directly in the corner. Irika made sure everybody was seated and started to go through roll. Naruto decided to lay his head down until his name was called. "Naruto Uzumaki," Irika said hesitantly. "Looks like your teacher is another one of your haters," Kyubi said. Naruto raised his head and said here. When he raised his head, he came eye to eye with Irika. Naruto could see a lot of hate hidden in his eyes. Naruto sighed before laying his head back down. This was not going to be a very good experience for Naruto. Later that day, Naruto barged into the Sarutobi clan home with his head down. He marched towards him appointed room and slammed the door behind him. He would not answer for anybody, even Asuma. Hokage Tower. Hiruzen was currently buried under the bane of all leaders, paperwork. It seemed like he was getting a lot of complaints with Naruto going to the academy this morning. Suddenly Asuma barged into Hiruzen's office. Now usually Hiruzen would be mad, but he was currently in the need of a break. "What's wrong, Asuma-kun?" Hiruzen said. When Naruto got home from the academy today, he immediately locked himself in his room. "I suspect something bad happened to him at the academy today," Asuma said. Hiruzen sighed and nodded. He had figured something would go wrong today. "I understand. Leave him alone until I get home. I'll try to see if I can coax him out of his room," Hiruzen said. Asuma nodded and then shined away. Hiruzen sighed and then got back to his paperwork. Couple hours later, Hiruzen had finally left his office and was now on his way home. The whole time he was doing paperwork, he was also worrying about Naruto. Hiruzen arrived at his house and walked through the doors. Asuma and his grandson Konohamaru immediately greeted him. He waved hello before going upstairs to Naruto. Hiruzen arrived at Naruto's room. He lightly knocked on the door. He got no response. "Naruto-kun, it's me," Hiruzen said softly. Hiruzen waited several seconds and then heard a click. He twisted the handle of the door and was in. He saw Naruto was sitting on his bed with his head down. Hiruzen sat on the bed next to Naruto. "Naruto, what happened at the academy?" Hiruzen asked. Naruto remained quiet for a while before lifting his head. "They kicked me out. As soon as the teacher saw me, he kicked me out of the room. He said I didn't deserve to learn in his class. I wasn't even allowed to attend the first lesson. Naruto said. Stop bitching about it, you fucking. If they annoy you, just kill them, Kyuubi said. Hiruzen fist tightened to an extreme measure. He had assigned Iruka to teach Naruto because he thought he was able to get over his hatred for him. Obviously that did not happen. It's okay, Naruto-kun. Your teacher was just acting stupid. I promise it won't happen again, Hiruzen said. You say that, but it will happen. These villagers hate me. One day the villagers will push me to Gar, and then Naruto stopped talking as sparks started to fly off him rapidly. Hiruzen placed his hand onto Naruto's shoulder to calm him. After several seconds, Naruto calmed down. Naruto-kun, I will personally deal with your new teacher. I guarantee you that you will no longer get treated like that in the academy again, Hiruzen said. Naruto looked up at Hiruzen's eyes. He saw the honesty and truth in his eyes. Naruto nodded. When Hiruzen saw that Naruto was now okay, he smiled. Good, now go asleep. Imagine that tomorrow is your first day at the academy, Hiruzen said. Naruto jumped back into his bed and quickly fell asleep. Hopefully tomorrow was better for him. Hiruzen left the room and went to his at-home office. He threw his hand up and two ANBU appeared in front of him. I want you to bring me Iruka Umino immediately. I don't care if he is asleep or having sex. I want him here now, Hiruzen said, yelled with barely contained anger. The two ANBU disappeared in a shunshin. After 5 minutes the two ANBU reappeared with Iruka in their grasp. He looked tired, confused and angry. Hokage-sama, why did you summon me this late at night? Can't this wait until the morning? Iruka asked groggily. Hiruzen slowly stood up and seemed to glide towards Iruka. He looked at him for several seconds before suddenly thrusted his hand out and wrapped it around Iruka's neck. He then lifted Iruka by his neck. I warned you, Umino, I fucking warned you. Yet you didn't believe me. I said you were to treat him regularly like the other children, yet you didn't do it. I should kill you for your ignorance, Hiruzen said angrily. Iruka's hands were flying up to Hiruzen's. He was trying to peel Hiruzen's hands off his neck. Unfortunately it was a desperate and worthless attempt. Hiruzen was just too strong and too angry to let go right now. Unfortunately you are the only teacher that can change their ways. So for now I will allow you to live. But if you dare go against my orders again and do something to hurt Naruto, I will wipe your existence from this planet, Hiruzen said. Hiruzen loosened his grip and Iruka fell to the floor in a coughing and shivering pile of flesh. Hiruzen looked down onto with disgust. Get him out my office and return him to his house. Make sure to remind him that he still has to teach tomorrow, Hiruzen said. The ANBU nodded and then grabbed Iruka. They then disappeared in a shunshin. Hiruzen sighed and then returned to bed. Sometimes being the Hokage required a little tough love. Next day, Naruto awoke the next morning feeling refreshed and excited for his first day at the academy. He was hoping that his teacher wouldn't be such an asshole this time. After having a hearty breakfast and saying goodbye to Asuma and Hiruzen, Naruto took off to the academy. As usual, he had to deal with the constant glares and harsh whispers from the villagers. But Naruto paid no attention to the villagers and continued his journey to the academy. After several minutes he arrived at the academy. Naruto walked into the classroom and took his seat in the corner of the room. He was the first to arrive, so he decided to lay his head down. After about 10 minutes the first of the students started to trickle into the room. By now Naruto had fallen asleep, so he paid no attention to his fellow students. If he had been awake he would have noticed that the arriving students seemed to be trying to avoid sitting next to him. It seemed that their parents heard that Naruto was in their class and told them to avoid him. After 10 more minutes the remaining students filed into the room. Naruto woke up from his little nap to see Iruka walking into the room. As soon as Iruka saw Naruto, his face tightened. His smile became forced and his stance became defensive. Luckily for him he was able to play it off, because if he didn't, the ANBU outside of the academy would have captured him and kill him. Iruka took a seat at the desk and started to take roll. When he got to Naruto's name, he gave a small pause before forcing out the name. Naruto gave a weak here. After that Iruka continued to roll with no problems. After taking roll Iruka started the class. Okay class, the first thing we will start going over is the history of Konoha. If you would please turn to page 5 in your history book, Iruka said. All of the class let out a groan but still took out their textbooks. As soon as Naruto saw the page of the textbook he knew today was going to be very boring. Kami, kill me now, Naruto thought to himself. I'll gladly do it for her, Kyuubi said. Midday lunch break. Students filed out the academy, excited to be able to take a break and meet up with their new friends. Naruto was also excited to have the opportunity to meet some new friends. Naruto saw two girls playing alone and decided to try and talk to them. Sakura Haruno had never been a very popular girl. She would usually stay in the house to try to avoid talking to other children. But today she met her new friend Ino, and that all changed. Ino had made Sakura more talkative and open to new people. But now they were both playing in the field during their recess. Naruto slowly walked up to the two girls. He lightly tapped Sakura on her shoulder. She turned around in surprise to see a blonde-haired boy standing behind her nervously. She smiled and waved at him. Hello, my name is Naruto Uzumaki. I was wondering if you wanted to play with me? Naruto said. Sakura's face fell when she heard Naruto's name. Her mother had told her that he was a demon, and was the reason her brother and uncle had died. No. My mother said you were a demon and I shouldn't play with you. Sakura said. TCH, what a childish excuse. This girl is going to grow up weak if she idly believes everything her parents say. Kyuubi suggested. Naruto's face fell but then returned to normal when he remembered Ino was still there. He turned to her but his face fell again when he saw the expression on her face. It was a look of disgust. Naruto turned around with tears in his eyes and saw that his entire class seemed to be looking at him with disgust and mistrust in his eyes. When Naruto saw this he dashed away, crying. As soon as he ran away, the bell rung signaling that recess was over. The students filed back into the room and not a thought was given to Naruto. With Naruto was running through the forest with his fist in his eyes. He was really upset that all of his classmates hated him like their parents. Naruto ran through the forest blindly in an attempt to put as much distance from him and his classmates. Naruto ran through the forest dodging trees and jumping over log. Naruto jumped over a log and landed on the ground. Or he would have landed on the ground if it weren't a pit hole. Naruto fell into the hole screaming. Naruto fell onto the ground with a loud thump. He groaned as he got up. Naruto faced the pit hole and tried to climb his way back up. Unfortunately, the slope was too slippery to climb up. Naruto tried to use chakra to stick to the slope, but the slope was not responding to his chakra. He groaned and decided to explore the cave. Naruto slowly walked into the cave with his senses raised. He had to make sure to avoid any traps or enemy. Naruto continued to travel further and further into the cave. After a half of hour of exploring, Naruto entered into a cavern. The cavern contained a podium with a large scroll on it. The walls were littered with hanging plants and bloody claw marks on it. Don't open that scroll, Kyuubi suddenly said. Naruto seemed confused at Kyuubi's sudden speech but decided to go against the beast's order. Naruto walked up to the scroll and took it off of the podium. The podium suddenly started to shake as the entrance was suddenly blocked by a large amount of rock. Blades started to swing from the ceiling in an attempt to kill Naruto. Naruto dropped the scroll and dropped his body onto the floor. The blades swung useless above Naruto. Suddenly the floor started to open under him. Fire started to spew out of the opening. Naruto pushed himself off the ground and onto the wall. The fire started to melt the hanging blades. After 5 minutes the flames stopped. The room stopped shaking. Naruto sighed in relief and went over and picked up the scroll. He opened and saw that the scroll was blank. The top of the scroll was decorated with 2 pure black cat-like creatures. The top of the contract held instruction telling Naruto how to sign it, and the hand signs that go with it. Naruto sighed and then took out a kunai and sliced his finger. He then spelled his name out in his blood. Suddenly a cloud of smoke appeared around Naruto and the scroll. The smoke cleared seconds later and nothing seemed to have changed. Naruto searched around his body to find a difference. Naruto looked at his arm and gasped at the new ornament. A tattoo of the cat-like creature that ran the length of his arm was now on his arm. The creature had his mouth open and seemed to be in a pouncing position. Naruto looked back at the scroll to see what he needed to do. Naruto went through the hand signs and then slammed his hands onto the ground. A human-sized puff of smoke appeared next to him. Naruto heard some loud growling coming from the smoke. Suddenly the creature that was on his arm pounced out of the smoke. Naruto managed to dodge the creature, only due to his training. The creature landed and growled at Naruto. It pounced once again at Naruto. Naruto ducked under it and managed to land a punch the creature in the stomach. The creature slammed into the ground in a heap of black fur. Naruto stood panting. He slowly started to walk to the downed creature. He kneeled down and touched it. It suddenly sprang up and faced Naruto. But instead of the snarling and angry face that Naruto had faced seconds ago, the creature now had a smiling face. Hello, young cub. I would like to inform you that you have just passed the Panther Clan summoning test. The newly named Panther said. Naruto looked confused at the Panther part. He had never heard of a panther, and that they had a clan. This is the Panther Clan. They are a summoning clan. Summons are usual animal or animalistic-like beings that are to be used by summoners X. The Panther Clan had their land taken away by the Toad Clan. They were supposedly wiped out, but I am guessing that they weren't, Kyuubi said. Naruto nodded in understatement. He looked at the panther with questioning eyes. Where are we and why did you attack me? Naruto said. The panther remained and seemed to skulk towards Naruto. Naruto could see the strong muscles rippling under the smooth black skin. This is the tomb of our summoning contract. When the Toad Clan took over our land, they slaughtered hundreds of us. We were forced into hiding. But that was hundreds of years ago. The panthers have been training and been growing in number. We have also been slowly taking back our land under the guise of a new summoning clan. I attacked you to test you. If you had died, then I would have knew you were weak and not worthy. But since you survived our traps and managed to land a hit on me, I knew that you were worthy, the panther said. Naruto nodded at the new information. It was a lot to take in at such a young age, but he was still able to process it. So I guess I am your new summoner. So what's your name? Naruto asked. The panther sat down on its leg and looked at Naruto. My name is Mayanaka Young Cub. What is your name? The newly named Mayanaka asked. My name is Naruto Uzumaki. Naruto said. Mayanaka nodded. Well, Naruto-san, I have to go for now. From now on I am your familiar. Summon me if you would like to talk or need me to battle. Also, when you have enough chakra, try to summon the boss. I would also advise you to not tell anyone about this experience. I have a feeling few would believe you, Mayanaka said before disappearing in a puff of smoke. Naruto stood looking at the puff of smoke in shock. He was still trying to get over the shock that he was now a summoner. Fucking panthers. Of all the summons in the world, it had to be the fucking panthers. Sometimes I think Kami just enjoys punishing me. What did I do, Kami, to deserve this? Kyuubi said. Naruto laughed at Kyuubi's distress and then collected himself. Naruto picked up the summoning scroll and sealed it into a storage seal. He then began to backtrack his way through the cave and arrived at the pit hole. But something weird had happened. It seemed like a ladder seemed to be carved out of the earth. It allowed Naruto to gain a foothold and climb out. Naruto climbed out of the cave and started to navigate his way back to the academy. If he had ever doubled back to the hole, he would have noticed that it was no longer there. No matter deep he would have dug or how hard he might have looked, Naruto would never be able to find the hole again. 10 minutes later, Iruka was in the middle of teaching his class. The first thing he noticed when they got back was that Naruto was now gone. He didn't know whether the Anbu took him away or was he just lost. All in all, Iruka really didn't care. Suddenly the door opened slowly. Naruto walked into the classroom. His shirt and pants were torn in several places. His right arm was wrapped completely. Naruto! Where were you? Iruka asked with fake concern. Naruto shot a glare at Iruka and then walked up to his chair in the corner. As soon as he sat down, the children that were directly next to him changed seats. Naruto sighed before laying his head down. Iruka decided to continue the lesson whether or not Naruto was paying attention. After the academy, Naruto had finally managed to escape the academy. It was official for him. He officially hated the academy. He thought it was going to a fun place where he learned to become a better ninja and meet new friends. But instead it was a place where the teachers hated him. They learned boring material and all of his classmates avoided him like the plague. Naruto was currently walking through the park to clear his mind. He saw several of his classmates playing with their friends and their parents watching from afar. When the parents saw Naruto, they shot him dirty looks. Naruto decided now to make trouble and walked out of the park. Naruto was now currently walking through the streets of Konoha. He could see children playing with their parents, old friends talking with each other, and people just generally enjoying themselves. But when Naruto got into their sights, everything changed. Their smiles would turn cold, and they would turn defensive. They would start glaring at him. This did not make Naruto sad anymore. It mostly made him pissed. He knew why the villagers hated him, and he thought it was a very stupid reason. He knew that he wasn't the Kyuubi, so why didn't they know? Naruto walked through the streets of Konoha with his mind lost in his thoughts. After 10 minutes he realized that he had actually arrived at his old apartment. It was left alone. Naruto decided to try and explore his apartment. Naruto walked up the burnt and crumbling stairs. The door was still open, so Naruto walked right through. Naruto looked around his apartment. Burnt remains of his pictures hung from the wall. His bed was now a pile of ashes. Naruto sighed at the sight of his old apartment. I cannot allow this to happen again. Naruto said. You have a summoning contract, you retard. Fucking use it. Kyuubi said. Naruto blinked olishly at the surprisingly good idea and decided to go with it. He put on his training gear and suddenly rushed out of the apartment and dashed into the forest. The villagers looked confused as they saw a blur shot out of Naruto's apartment. Naruto ran into the forest, avoiding the random tree or fallen log. Finally he arrived in a clearing that was relatively far from the village. He then bit his finger and went through the hand signs required for summoning. Naruto slammed his hand on the ground and a seal array appeared on the ground. A puff of smoke surrounded Naruto. The puff of smoke cleared to reveal Mayanaka. Naruto-san. I did not expect you to summon me so soon, Mayanaka said. Naruto ran up to Mayanaka and suddenly bowed to her. Mayanaka, will you please train me in the ways of the Panther Clan? Naruto asked desperately. Mayanaka was taken back by the sudden question. She had never expected Naruto to ask for training at such a young age. But inwardly she smirked. This was her chance to mold the perfect summoner for the Panther's clan. Are you sure you can handle our training, Naruto? Panthers are very proud animals and will not accept a weak summoner, Mayanaka said. I can do it. Please, I can do it. I don't care how hard the training is, I can handle it. I just want to be strong, Naruto said. Mayanaka heard the conviction in Naruto's voice and smirked. She had found the perfect summoner. Now all she needed to do was to mold him. Okay. I will train you in the ways of the Panther Clan, Mayanaka said. Naruto grinned. But what he didn't know was that Mayanaka was about to put him through some hellish training. Now the first thing you need to know is how panthers hunt. We are stealthy and strong. We strike when our opponent least expects it. We are unseen. When we strike, we only strike once because all we need is one strike to kill, Mayanaka said. You need to learn how to use your stealth. You need to be able to hunt your prey without them knowing. You need to be able to kill in one strike. You need to be quick, strong, and quiet. Mayonaka said. Naruto nodded in understatement. Unfortunately, we cannot work on your strength because of your young age. But we can work on your speed and stealth. You are to run around the village without being. If you are seen, then you will have to run another lap. I will be following. Now go, Mayonaka said. Naruto suddenly took off running back to the village. This was going to be a terrible experience for him. 5 hours later, Naruto sluggishly returned to the clearing he was originally in. He was forced to run 7 laps around the village. The first 3 laps Naruto was spotted immediately. After that it took about half the lap for him to be spotted. On the 7th lap, Naruto remained unspotted. Naruto lay down on the forest floor tired. Mayonaka skulked back into the forest clearing again with a smirk on her face. You did good, Naruto-san. I expected you to have more laps. It seems your stealth and speed is actually pretty good. Of course they are not up to Jaguar standard but are still good, Mayonaka said. This is the end of your training. Return back here tomorrow once you're finished your daily activities, Mayonaka said before disappearing in a puff of smoke. Naruto sighed and then picked himself up from the ground. He then started to trudge his way back into the village. By this time, it was night and the only ones that were still in the streets were partying civilians and ninjas. Naruto managed to get back to the Sarutobi complex. He managed to sneak into his room. He groggily took off his clothes and collapsed in bed. He was asleep before his head even hit the pillow. Naruto was currently sitting on top of the Hokage's tower. Since he had been struck by lightning, he had found high places very relaxing. It has been 6 months since Naruto had asked Mayonaka to start training him. It was one of the best and worst decisions in his life. He had grown greatly in the areas of speed and stealth. But each day he would go home dead tired. After Naruto managed to run around the village once without getting caught, Mayonaka had stepped up his training. He now had to run around the village in under 30 minutes while not getting caught by any guards or any other summons Naruto had forced to summon. If he was caught by the summons, they were to attack him as punishment. This task has proven very difficult for Naruto. Mayonaka was not joking about the other panther's stealth. Naruto used to go home each day with claw marks and scars running across his skin. Fortunately, Kyuubi managed to heal them. Other than stealth and speed, Naruto had also improved in his electric powers. He was now able to slightly reduce and greatly increase the size of his electromagnetic field. This allowed him to attract different types of metals and stop them just inches from his body. Naruto had also started to learn techniques based off of his electricity. He was just starting to be able to manifest the electricity into different shapes. He was currently trying to manifest it into a whip. Naruto had also made a little progress with his sword. Mayonaka managed to teach Naruto the basic stances that any kenjutsu users needed to know. She had also taught Naruto to channel his chakra into his sword. Naruto was now just using his sword in his taijutsu. Of course, Naruto learned all of this outside of the academy. To Naruto, the academy was an entire waste of time. He had learned nothing that pertained to him becoming a better ninja. All he learned was basic history, math, and science. But unfortunately, Naruto had to attend it to appease Hiruzen. The only thing that was bad with Naruto was Kyuubi. He would constantly talk to Naruto through their mental link. These talks would usually include Kyuubi trying to convince Naruto to destroy the village and kill the villagers, or how he was going to tear him limb from limb as soon as he escaped. Today was October 10th. It was a Thursday, but Naruto was out of school. It was because today was the celebration of the defeat of the Kyuubi. Later that afternoon, the villagers would throw a festival celebrating the 4th Hokage and his victory over the Kyuubi. Now most people in the village enjoyed this festival. Unfortunately, Naruto was not one of these people. He was banned from attending the festival, and if he did, bad things happened. But today was different from Naruto. Unknown to most people, October 10th was Naruto's birthday. Usually Naruto would lock himself in his room at the orphanage while the festival went on. But today Naruto was actually attending a party thrown by Hiruzen. This was his first party, and he was really excited. Naruto continued to stare down on the villagers as they continued to prepare for the festival. It seemed like this one was going to be very wild. 6 hours later, adults dancing, children laughing and playing, shinobi drinking, and everybody was having a good time. The streets of Konoha were filled with joy. Today they were celebrating the defeat of the Kyuubi. Mirth was all around the village as different acts and plays depicted the defeat of the Kyuubi, each one more outrageous than the other. It seemed like everybody in the village was outside enjoying themselves, but that was not true. 3 individuals were in the Sarutobi clan home. These 3 individuals were Hiruzen Sarutobi, Asuma Sarutobi, and Naruto Uzumaki. These 3 were currently celebrating Naruto's birthday. Make a wish, Naruto-kun, Hiruzen said. I wish I could kill you right now. Kyuubi said. Shut up. It's my birthday, Naruto thought. Naruto closed his eyes and blew out his 6 candles. Asuma and Hiruzen applauded him. They then presented the 2 presents they got him. Here you go, Naruto-kun, Hiruzen said. Naruto took the small box and unwrapped it carefully and slowly. He didn't want to break it because this was one of the first presents he had ever gotten. After unwrapping the box and opening, Naruto took out 2 gloves. Well, they were more like gauntlets considering the fact that it was mostly metal. These are to help you with your electric powers. The metal is highly sensitive to metal, so when you punch with them you can channel your lightning chakra through them, Hiruzen said. Naruto started in amazement at the new gloves. He put them on and immediately found they were too big. But suddenly he felt a prick on his arm and the gloves started to glow in a blue light. They then shrunk to fit snugly onto Naruto's hands. The gloves inside are lined with seals that help maintain their condition. It also has a seal that makes them shrink and grow according to your hand size. That prick you felt, was it taking your blood? Now nobody but yourself will be able to use them, Hiruzen said. Naruto ran up and hugged Hiruzen for his new gift. Hiruzen chuckled and then returned the hug. After several seconds, Naruto let go of the hug and ran to Asuma. Asuma presented his gift to Naruto. Naruto once again carefully unwrapped the gift again. His face split into a grin when he saw what the box contained. The box contained several sets of brand new kunais, shuriken, and saban. Each weapon had a different design that made them look amazing. Naruto ran up and hugged Asuma for the gift. Asuma laughed and returned the hug to Naruto. Once the hug was over, Hiruzen sealed Naruto's new weapons in a scroll. Naruto refused to take off the gloves, saying that they were too comfortable. Hiruzen and Asuma just chuckled at his possessiveness. Hey Naruto, how would you like to go out into the festival? Asuma asked. Naruto suddenly stopped and took on a thinking look. Usually he would try to avoid the festival in fear that something bad would happen. But with his training and with Asuma and Hiruzen, he doubted that anything bad would happen. Sure, Naruto said. Asuma grinned and led Naruto out of the house with Hiruzen in tow. As soon as they stepped outside, Hiruzen was swept away by a wave of drunk villagers. Asuma and Naruto decided to go without him. The first thing Asuma took him to was game booth. The object of the game was to try to knock down 5 bottles that were stacked on top of each other. Asuma gave the booth runner 5 yen for 5 balls. The balls were old and worn out, but they were perfect for Naruto. Naruto picked up the first ball and drew back his arm. His arm then shot forward, sending the ball in a bullet-like path. The ball crashed into the 5 bottles and sent them crashing to the floor. The ball crashed into the wall and fell to the floor. Naruto let out a cheer when he saw that he had won. The owner reluctantly gave Naruto his prize. It was a mini Kyuubi doll with its eyes as X's. Naruto handed it to Asuma, who sealed it into the seal that contained Naruto weapons. Naruto and Asuma decided to try another booth. When they arrived, Asuma once again paid the man that ran the booth. The man was about to give Naruto the darts, but then got a closer look at his face. He immediately put the darts down and threw the money back at Asuma. We do not serve his kind here, the man said with disgust in his voice. Asuma looked in anger at what the man said. Naruto also looked evenly as angry. My father will be hearing about this, Asuma said. Just get away from my stand, demon lover, the booth owner said. Naruto and Asuma walked away from the booth in anger. The next hour was filled with them trying different booths and getting the same reaction as before. Now it seemed that everybody had gotten aware of Naruto's presence at the festival, and all eyes seemed to be on him. What is he doing here? Why is Asuma leading it around? That demon shouldn't be here. Those were just some of the whispers that managed to reach the ears of Naruto. And you wonder why I want to kill them, Kyuubi said. Naruto was progressively starting to regret coming to the festival. It had started off great with him winning his first game, but now the villagers were throwing him harsh glares. These seemed to be harsher than usual. Asuma-san, let's get out of here, Naruto said. Asuma looked down and frowned when he saw the upset look on Naruto's face. He slowly nodded and started to lead Naruto back to the Sarutobi compound. About halfway there, a wall of angry-looking civilians met them. Asuma-san, while I do respect you and your father, I have to ask why you are escorting this boy around? A civilian said. Asuma's eyes narrowed slightly. Unfortunately, Hirobi-san, that is none of your business. Now if you would excuse us, we have somewhere to go today, Asuma said. Asuma took a step forward, yet the wall of civilian did not move. Asuma's eyes once again narrowed. Unfortunately, Asuma, I cannot allow you to walk that boy around. It is an insult to all of the lives that were lost years ago, Hirobi said. I don't know why it is an insult, because this boy had nothing to do with those deaths. I know your ignorance and stupidity sometimes make that hard for you to see, Asuma said with a slight smirk on his face. Hirobi growled and took a step forward. He started to reach for Naruto, but had his hand swatted away by Asuma. Give me the boy, Asuma. You know what he did to this village. How can you just let this demon run around the village as if he didn't do anything? Hirobi said. Asuma remained quiet for several seconds before his knives appeared in his hands. You just broke a law that is punishable by death. Now die, Asuma said before slashing at Hirobi's neck. Her boy fell to the ground clutching his neck. Blood started to run over his hands. Asuma silently stepped around the dying Hirobi and continued to lead Naruto back to the Sarutobi compound. The wall of civilians broke apart when they saw the dying Hirobi. Ah, the sight of blood is so beautiful, Kyuubi said. After several minutes they finally arrived at the compound. Asuma led Naruto back to his room and wished him good night. Naruto quickly fell to sleep. Asuma noticed that the light in his father's office was on, so he decided to tell him about the recent event. Asuma walked into the office to see Hiruzen going through a massive pile of paperwork. "Hello, Toussaint?" Asuma said. Hiruzen looked up and smiled when he saw Asuma was back. "Hey Asuma-kun. How did you and Naruto enjoy the festival? I trust that nothing bad happened," Hiruzen said. Asuma's face took on a frown when he heard this. Everything was actually going well. Naruto had managed to win at one of the booths and got a prize. We decided to go to another booth to see if he could win another. Unfortunately, the owner refused to serve Naruto, Asuma said. Hiruzen frowned when he heard this. He would have to personally talk to that booth owner. The next hour was us just getting the same response from different people. We decided to leave but was confronted by several civilians. One of them foolishly called Naruto a demon. At that point I slashed his throat for disobeying your law, Asuma said. Hiruzen's frown became even deeper when he heard this. It seemed like Naruto's birthday had just been ruined by the stupidity of the villagers. Hiruzen stood up and walked to the window of his office. He had a good view of the village. The celebration and parties were still going on. One day these villagers will push him too far. When that point comes, I fear for Naruto and our village. Mostly our village, Hiruzen said. Asuma agreed and said goodbye to Hiruzen. He walked out of the office, leaving Hiruzen alone. Why can't you all learn? Hiruzen seemed to be asking the village. The next day, Naruto woke up, excited to test out his new weapons and gloves. The events of last night were completely gone. Today they were dismissed from the academy, so he had all day to train. Naruto immediately went charging into Asuma's room. He stood at the door and tried to listen if anybody was awake. After hearing nothing, he shrugged. Naruto raised his foot and kicked the door open. Two figures suddenly shot out of the bed. Both of the figures looked tired and frazzled. Naruto immediately recognized Asuma but did not recognize the women. From what he could see, she had black hair with red eyes. She looked to have a good figure from behind the covers. "Naruto, why did you bust into my room?" Asuma asked. "Well, you were the last one to have my scroll with my weapons. I just wanted to practice with them," Naruto said. Asuma sighed in relief and then looked at the woman with an apologetic look. She nodded in understatement. Asuma got out of the bed with only his underwear on. Naruto followed him to his closet where Asuma pulled out his scroll. "Just channel chakra into the scroll and all your stuff will come out," Asuma said. Naruto nodded and then started to talk out of the room. He got to the doorway and suddenly stopped. He slowly turned around with a large smile on his face. "I didn't know you had a girlfriend, Asuma. I'm sure Aji-san would love to hear about this," Naruto said. Asuma and the women paled when they heard this. It seemed they both wanted their relationship to remain a secret. "Naruto, you can't tell anyone about this," Asuma said. Naruto's smirks widened to a full-out blown grin. His eyes contained a mischievous look in them. "If you want me to stay quiet, you are going to have to pay," Naruto said. "Ask for the woman. I wouldn't mind raping her," Kyubi said. Asuma sighed and then went back into his closet. He came out with a scroll. "This scroll contains 3 right unjutsus. Is this enough?" Asuma said. Asuma got his answer when Naruto snatched the scroll out of his hand and bolted out of the room. "Have fun with Kurenai-chan, Asuma," Naruto shouted out from the hallway. Asuma sighed and then jumped back into the bed. Kurenai still seemed to be in shock at Naruto's appearance. "So that's Naruto?" Kurenai said in shock. Asuma nodded. "He seems very hyper," Kurenai said. Asuma nodded once again. With Naruto, Naruto ran on top of the many buildings of Konoha. Today he was free from training from Miyonaka. It seemed like the Jaguar clan was having a meeting. So Naruto was trying to find a place to train with his new powers. "Keep going straight," Kyubi suddenly said. Naruto seemed confused at the sudden talk but nonetheless decided to follow it. He continued going straight. As he continued, he noticed that the buildings seemed to become less and less frequent. After 5 minutes, Naruto finally arrived at his location. In front of him stood a gigantic gate that seemed to run along for miles. "What is this place?" Naruto asked to himself. "This is the Forest of Death. The plant and wildlife have grown to massive proportions due to Hashirama's residue chakra. When I attacked 6 years ago, my chakra sped up the process, so the animals in here should be extremely dangerous. This is your survival training," Kyubi said. Naruto gulped in fear when he heard this. Now Naruto was confident in his skills to a certain extent. But now he was about to face animals and creatures that have been infected by Kyubi's and the first Hokage's chakra. This was going to be hard. "Well, get in there, brat. No time like today," Kyubi said with mirth in his tone. Naruto groaned and then jumped over the massive fence. He landed on the ground, crouched in a defensive position. He stood still as his eyes tried to take in as much as they could. Once he made sure nothing was about to attack him, his stance relaxed. Naruto slowly began to walk through the forest. He could hear the wildlife around him but couldn't see them. He could also see the effects of Kyubi's and the first Hokage's chakra. He could see gigantic spider web and bird's nest. Squirrels the size of a man scurried along the forest floor. It was very weird for Naruto. Naruto was still making his way through the forest when he heard a crack come from behind him. He turned around quickly and saw a gigantic spider flying towards him. Naruto used his speed to slide under the gigantic spider. The spider landed and then turned around to Naruto. Naruto could see all 8 of its eyes staring at him intently. Naruto grinned and then held up his gloves. Sparks started to come flying off of him. The spider let out a hiss before flying back at Naruto. Naruto stood still and waited for the spider to get close. He quickly sidestepped it and punched the spider in its body. The spider went flying sideways into a tree. The spider wobbled back onto its feet and seemed to be dazed. It shook its head before suddenly sent a spider web at Naruto. Naruto, surprised by the speed of the spider web, took a direct hit by it. The spider web roughly slammed him into a tree and stuck him to it. The spider began scurrying towards Naruto while Naruto struggled to escape. The spider finally got close to Naruto and opened its mouths to eat Naruto. Naruto could see the rows of teeth and the spit that was in the spider's mouth. Naruto started to grunt as he channeled chakra around his body. The sparks started to come off of his body more visibly. Suddenly the web burst forward with a flash of heat and electricity. The spider let out a hiss as it was hit by the heat and electricity. Naruto fell to the ground as he was freed from the web. He walked up to the slightly smoking and twitching. He walked up the spider and raised his hand. He slammed it into the spider's head, ending its life. Naruto stood up with a sigh. He was glad that was over. Naruto suddenly gasped when he heard several hissings from behind him. He turned around and saw over 20 spiders heading towards him. Naruto gulped when he saw the massive amount of spiders. I bet you planned this. Naruto thought to Kyubi. Babe. Kyubi said teasingly, why does it have to be spiders? Why can't it be butterflies or flowers? Naruto said out loud. Naruto started to channel his chakra to his hand and charged at the spiders. The spiders all hissed at him and started to charge at him. Naruto reached the first spider and sent an uppercut that launched the spider up into the air. Naruto immediately had to dodge several balls of webs that weren't sent his way. Naruto ducked and rolled as tons of spider webs were sent flying his way. He stood out of his roll and raised his hand. A lightning bolt came flying out his. The lightning flew true through the air and hit a spider. The spider fell to the ground dead. Naruto unsealed his new kunai and held them in his hands. Several spiders were running towards him. Naruto threw the kunai, and they flew through the air. The kunai hit the spiders and sent them to the ground. They slowly got back up and continued running towards Naruto. But meanwhile Naruto was going through hand signs. Lightning release, chain lightning. Naruto yelled out. Naruto raised his hand and a bolt of lightning shot out of it again. It hit the nearest spider right where the kunai was. It fell to the ground twitching. Instead of stopping there, the lightning continued to the next spider that had a kunai in it. The lightning continued this pattern before it discharged when there were no more remaining spiders. Naruto huffed and looked at the remaining spiders. They all seemed really pissed at him. He smirked and then started to taunt the spiders. What? Are you too scared now? Ha! You spiders are pathetic, Naruto said. The spiders stood still as Naruto continued to taunt them. Unknown Naruto, their queen spider, was currently standing behind Naruto. And Naruto had just killed some of her children. I guess I showed those spiders a thing or two, Naruto said. The queen spider's shadow slowly consumed Naruto. Naruto remained unaware of the danger. Naruto heard a giant hiss come from behind him. He slowly turned around to see a humongous spider. It was bigger than all the rest of the spiders. Ah shit, Naruto said. The spider let out one more hiss before charging at Naruto. Naruto was about to jump back but remembered that he still had other spiders behind him. Naruto jumped up and landed on top of the queen spider's head. The spider looked up in confusion as Naruto ran along its body. The smaller spider jumped onto the queen spider in an attempt to get Naruto. Naruto looked back and noticed that the other spiders were now chasing after him. He skidded to a stop and faced the remaining spiders. He started to go through hand signs and then slammed his hands onto the spider's back. Lightning release, discharge, Naruto said. Sparks came flying off of Naruto's hand and onto the queen spider's back. The sparks traveled to the running spiders. 2 of the 10 spiders jumped into the air to avoid the electricity. The remaining 8 were electrocuted. His jutsu also had the effect of stunning the queen spider. The queen spider fell to the ground as its legs gave out under it. Naruto and the spider were sent tumbling. Naruto got up and looked up at the 2 remaining spiders. Naruto unsheathed his sword. He drew his arm back and sent the sword flying. The sword flew through the air at high speeds. The dazed spider had no chance to dodge the sword as it sank into his stomach. The spider fell down dead as the blade rattled in its stomach. The last remaining spider hissed angrily as its last comrade lay dead beside it. The spider began to charge at Naruto with intense speed. Naruto lay still with a smirk on his face. The spider got closer and closer as Naruto stood still. Suddenly, when the spider was about 10 feet away from Naruto, Naruto's chakra exploded outward. Sparks could be seen flying from his skin. The spider was momentarily shocked by the sudden explosion of chakra but still continued its charge. Naruto still waited patiently with a smirk as the spider came closer. The spider suddenly lunged to kill Naruto, but had Naruto's sword suddenly pierced through its head. The sword cut completely through the spider's head before flying into Naruto's hand. Naruto smirked, and then yelled in excitement, "Electromagnetic pull is so awesome," Naruto said to himself. Naruto was suddenly thrown off of the spider's body by its sudden movement. He roughly slammed into the ground as the queen spider scurried away. Naruto looked in confusion as the queen spider ran away. He shrugged in defeat when he saw there was nothing to do. Well, that was exciting, Naruto said. Naruto walked towards the dead bodies of the spider and collected his kunai. They seemed to shake out of the bodies and zip towards Naruto. Naruto would catch them in midair before putting back into his holster. Naruto was walking back to the entrance of the forest with a confident smile on his face. He had faced a powerful enemy and managed to defeat it. He only wished that he were able to fight that big spider. Naruto suddenly stopped as he heard a whizzing through the air. Suddenly 3 kunai buried themselves in the tree that was right in front of him. He suddenly felt a prick on the back of his neck. "Now what is a brat like you doing in my forest?" a feminine voice said from behind Naruto. Naruto stood completely still as the kunai was pressed into his skin. He could feel it trying to go deeper and deeper into him. "I was just a training," Naruto said nervously. Naruto closed his eyes, hoped that the excuse would work. Naruto suddenly felt himself spin and he was slammed ruthlessly into a tree. He opened his eyes and then they widened in surprise. "Hey! You're that girl that saved me from the villagers once," Naruto said in surprise. "Stun her, tear the clothes from her bodies and rape her. I demand it," Kyuubi said. Now that Naruto got a clear look of the woman, he recognized her. Sei had light brown pupilless eyes and violet hair, which was styled in a short, spiky fan ponytail. She has a tan overcoat and a fitted mesh bodysuit that stretches from her neck to her knees. She was also wearing dark orange miniskirt. Naruto could see her forehead protector through her hair. He could also see she had a snake pendant hanging from her neck. The girl squinted her eyes at Naruto when she heard him talk. She started intently for several seconds before her eyes widened. "GKI," Anko suddenly said before wrapping Naruto in a very powerful hug. Naruto was smashed into the girls, developing. Instead of resisting, Naruto gave into the hug and was crushed between the girls. After several seconds of pleasure, for Naruto, the woman released Naruto from the hug and held him from arm lengths. "I haven't seen you since that day I saved you. Have you gotten your ass kicked lately?" Anko asked Naruto. Naruto chuckled at the light insult. "Actually no. I have been training so that won't happen again. If I do say so myself, I think I'm pretty strong," Naruto said with a proud look on his face. Anko laughed and let Naruto fall to the ground. She then looked at the bodies of the dead spiders and whistled in appreciation. "It looks like you did a number on those spiders," Anko said. Naruto puffed his chest out in pride when he heard Anko regarding his work. "So Gaki, do you have anything planned for the day?" Anko asked with a mischievous tone. "Actually, after fighting those spiders I am done for today," Naruto said with a tired tone. Anko's face suddenly took on a massive grin before grabbing Naruto's arm and running through the forest while dragging Naruto with her. "Well, you are treating me to dango," Anko said. Naruto sighed and decided to just go with the flow. 10 minutes, Naruto looked in amazement as Anko wolfed down plates of dango. It was almost on par with the amount of ramen Naruto eats himself. Anko finished the last stick of dango on her plate before sitting back with a content smile. She shot back up and looked at Naruto with an intense look. "So how have you been, Gaki? I heard you messed up some genin and civilians. That's really impressive for a brat like yourself," Anko said with a smirk on her face. Naruto grinned in pride when he heard the news. "Well, this brat you're looking at is going to be the strongest ninja in the world soon," Naruto said. Anko laughed at Naruto's bold proclamation. The two then sat there talking for an hour, enjoying themselves. Suddenly 3 ninja entered the dango bar. Each one of them were genin and seemed to be Anko's age. They all walked up to the bar and started to order dango. While waiting, they turned around to look who was in the bar. Their eyes fell onto Anko and Naruto, and they all smirked. They collectively got up and approached the table. Naruto and Anko were still talking and eating dango, unaware of the 3 approaching genin. The 3 genin arrived at the table and stood in front of it. Naruto and Anko still talk, unaware of the presence of the 3 genin. One of the genin started to get impatient and slammed his hand onto the table. "Hey, snake bitch. I knew you didn't have any friends, but I never knew you would stoop so low as to hang with the demon," the genin said. "Are you going to let these idiots insult your woman?" Kyuubi said. Naruto and Anko looked up at the obviously stupid genin. Anko fist clenched when she saw whom it was. "Kenshi. Leave me the fuck alone," Anko gritted out. The newly named Kenshi laughed at Anko's anger. He then leaned down and started to talk into Anko's face. "What are you going to do about it if I don't? You know you can't hit me. You traitor of a master made sure of that. All you can do is cry and sit down like the bitch yo." Kenshi was interrupted by Naruto's fist into his face. He was rocketed out the stand and into the streets. "Don't you ever talk about Anko-chan like that," Naruto yelled. The 2 remaining genin looked in shock as Naruto's fist crackled with electricity. The 2 snapped out of their shock before pulling out their kunais. Naruto grinned and then increased his chakra. The two genins' kunai started to shake in their hands. The kunai flew out of their hand and into Naruto's hand. Naruto smirked and then dived at the two genin. One of the genin was still in shock that his kunai was now with Naruto. This caused him to get a cut along his waist. He fell to the floor clutching his wound. The other genin managed to dodge the strike. The genin started to go through hand signs for a fire jutsu. Naruto, seeing this, knew he had to get him out of the shop. Naruto channeled an extreme amount of chakra into his muscles and shot off towards the genin. He threw a haymaker into his chest, which sent the genin rocketing into the streets. The genin slammed through the curtains and into the streets. He slammed ruthlessly into the wall of another building. He fell to the ground unconscious. Naruto stood in the dango bar with his fist outstretched. When he heard the satisfying crack of human against wall, Naruto relaxed. He was suddenly swept up into the arms of Anko. "Ah, my little hero saved me," Anko said with a sweet tone in her voice. Naruto blushed as Anko swung him back and forth. She then dragged him over to the table and slammed him back into his seat. "Now you are going to sit here and enjoy dango with," Anko said. Naruto nodded happily and enjoyed his plate of dango. Couple hours later, Naruto and Anko had spent the whole entire day together. First eating dango, then going on to ramen, and then pranking the villagers. It was the most fun both of them have had in a while. Unfortunately, Naruto was still a child, so he became tired after a while. Anko saw this and decided to take him on. When she asked where he lived, she was surprised to learn that he lived in the Sarutobi clan. Nevertheless, she took him home. Currently, Anko was sitting in front of the Sarutobi's clan home. She had knocked several seconds ago, and was now waiting for someone to answer. Suddenly, Asuma opened the door. His eyes immediately shot to Naruto, and anger started to fill in them. But then he saw Anko and calmed down. He figured Anko wouldn't do anything to hurt Naruto. Anko. What are you doing with Naruto? Did he cause anyone trouble?" Asuma asked worriedly. Anko chuckled at Asuma's worry. "Nah. The brat and me just spent the day messing around. He's just tired," Anko said. Asuma sighed in relief that Naruto was okay. He carefully took him off of Anko. "Well, tell the brat I said hi, and meet me back in that spot when he wants to hang out. Bye. Say hi to Kurenai for me," Anko said before shining away. Asuma sighed when he heard that someone else knew about his secret. He went back into the house and laid Naruto down. He then went back to his bedroom where he saw Kurenai still lying in bed. He hopped back into the bed. "Who was that?" Kurenai asked. "Just someone dropping Naruto off," Asuma sighed. Kurenai shrugged and then started to cuddle up to Asuma. Also, Anko said hi. "It has been 7 long years since we have last seen our hero. He had matured greatly in mind and body." Naruto now stood at an impressive 5 feet 8 inches. His muscles were very defined. His entire outfit had changed completely. He wore skin-tight pants that were completely white. He now had a hood that was also completely white. The pants and jackets were gifts from the Panther Clan. Flashback. Today was a week after Naruto's 10th birthday. He spent his birthday with Hiruzen, Asuma, and Anko. It was a lot of fun, and he had received great gifts. But the gift he was really looking forward to was the Panther's Clan gift. Mayanaka had told him a week ago that they were preparing his gift. Now Naruto stood in the clearing where he and Mayanaka usually trained. He was waiting for the specified time to come when he could summon Mayanaka. Naruto watched impatiently as the sun slowly set. He sighed in relief as the sun got to a certain point. Naruto bit his finger and started to go through the hand signs for the summoning jutsu. He slammed his hands on the ground and a seal array spread on the clearing floor. A puff of smoke appeared and Naruto waited patiently for the smoke to clear. Mayanaka came out of the smoke with a scroll in her mouth. She walked slowly up to Naruto and dropped it at his feet. "This is a gift from the entire Panther Clan. Each one of us thanks you for being our summoner," Mayanaka said. Naruto grinned and then picked up the scroll. He channeled chakra through the scroll and a puff of smoke surrounded his hands. When the smoke cleared, Naruto realized that he had 2 new things in his hands. It was a completely white jacket with completely white Anbu pants. "Try them on," Mayanaka said. Naruto grinned and then tried on the new clothes. He found that they fit perfectly on him. But he looked up with confusion at Mayanaka. "Well, while I do appreciate the clothes, these aren't really made for stealth," Naruto said. Mayanaka smirked when he heard Naruto say this. "Channel chakra into the clothes," Mayanaka said. Naruto looked in confusion at the request but did it anyway. He started to channel chakra into the clothes and looked at them. He watched in amazement as the clothes changed colors before his eyes. He noticed that they were perfectly matching up with the forest surrounding him. Those clothes were outfitted with seals that allow them to change colors. "This is perfect for any stealth mission," Mayanaka said. Naruto grinned at his amazing gift. He knew that this would be a great asset for his stealth. "Thank you, Mayanaka. Tell the rest of the clan that I really appreciate the gift," Naruto said. Mayanaka nodded and then disappeared. End of flashback. Naruto had foregone showing anyone his new clothes. He didn't find it necessary, so just decided to keep it to himself. Several other things had changed about Naruto too. Naruto now had almost complete mastery of his electromagnetic field. He could extend it to over 200 yards and retract it to 5 inches from himself. His sword skills weren't his strong suit, but he was still skilled with it. With no base style, he relied purely on his instincts. It had worked for him since he got the sword, so he found it unnecessary to change it. But Naruto's greatest strengths were his speed, stealth, and his lightning jutsus. Due to the constant speed and stealth training Miyonaka had forced him through, his speed and stealth were off the charts. He was able to sneak into the Hokage Tower several times wearing bright orange and not be seen. He was able to kill someone quick enough that they wouldn't notice till it was too late. His lightning jutsus had come a long way from him not knowing how to control them. He was able to shape the lightning into any shape or form. If he channeled chakra into hand and touched someone, he could fill them with enough excess electricity that he could knock them unconscious or kill them. It was basically a built-in taser. Overall, Naruto was at a solid Chunin level. Due to his lack of strength, he wasn't able to reach Jonin level. Today was a very important day in Konoha. Today was the day that Konoha would welcome in a new generation of ninja. This generation was made out to be the best in several generations. They were mostly made up of the future clan heads of Konoha. It was also so the class Naruto was in. While today was a very important day for Konoha, it was not very important for Naruto. Naruto was not really looking forward to his first couple of months as a genin. After hearing about the missions assigned to fresh genin, Naruto was definitely not looking forward to them. Naruto was in his room making sure he was completely ready for the test. He had his special kunai on the inside of his jacket. His sword hung loosely against his back. Naruto, satisfied with his equipment check, put a senbon into his mouth. He slowly walked out of his room and walked out of the house. Once he got outside, he threw his hood and started to channel chakra into them. Slowly his body seemed to disappear. After making sure he was completely invisible, he made his way to the academy. At the academy, Naruto quietly snuck into the academy and into his assigned room. He took a seat in his usual desk and waited. He was an hour early, so he had plenty of time to wake. The first person to enter the room after Naruto was Iruka. Naruto's relation with Iruka had not improved at all. Actually, it had probably got worse. As Naruto grew older, he became more rebellious and began to strike out towards Iruka's biased behavior. "Why don't you just kill him now? It would save us a lot of trouble," Kyubi said. One thing that hasn't changed about Naruto was his relationship with Kyubi. Kyubi still tried to influence him with suggestions of killing, raping, and pillaging. Kyubi still manipulated his dreams to show horrors. But Naruto managed to survive through it all. Iruka went straight for his desk and took out a packet. Naruto, being the curious person he was, quietly walked over to the desk and looked over Iruka's shoulder. His eyes widened when he noticed that the papers Iruka had taken out was the test Naruto was scheduled to be taking today. Naruto grinned at his luck as Iruka took the test himself. After 20 minutes, Iruka finished the test, put it back into his desk, and walked out of the room. After making sure that Iruka was gone, Naruto quietly took the test out of the desk and copied down the answers on a separate piece of paper. When he finished, he put the test back into the test and sat back into his seat with a content smile. Now he was waiting for his classmates. The first one of his classmates to enter the room was Sasuke Uchiha. Sasuke Uchiha was a very popular boy in the academy. He stood 5 feet 5 inches and his build was that of a swimmer. He had black hair and eyes. Ever since Sasuke's older brother, Itachi, slaughtered his whole clan, Sasuke had acted very emo-ish. He completely ignored any human interaction from anyone. He dedicated his time to training to avenge his clan. Naruto personally found it pathetic that he would ignore everybody all for some petty revenge that was impossible for him to do. The next two people to enter were Shikamaru Nara and Choji Akimichi. Now at first glance Shikamaru seemed like a lazy asshole. But Naruto quickly learned that he was actually a genius on an incredible level. But he was still a lazy asshole. Choji was a very plump boy that always seemed to have a bag of chips in his hands. He always hung out with Shikamaru and seemed very loyal. While not the smartest, he made up with it with his strength and stamina. The next person to enter the room was Hinata Hyuga. Now Hinata was always a mystery to Naruto. When he first met her all those years ago, she was shy and nervous all the time. But when the third year of academy started, she had completely changed. She was cold and rigid like the rest of her clan. She treated everyone as if they were lower than her. It honestly made Naruto confused. The next person to enter was Kiba Inazunka. Kiba was a member of the Inazunka clan. Along with his dog Akamaru, they were a dangerous team. Kiba was very proud, arrogant, and prideful. This caused him to act brash and sometimes, most of the time, very stupid. The next person to enter was Shino Aburame. Shino was a very quiet boy. Most of the class was slightly disgusted the boy's special condition, but Naruto had no problem with the boy. The last two people to enter were Sakura Haruno and Ino Yamanaka. Sakura was a petite girl with fair skin. She had pink hair and an abnormal forehead. Ino was also a petite girl with fair skin. But she had blonde hair, blue eyes, and a normal forehead. These two girls were the most pathetic in the class. They both were deeply in love with Sasuke Uchiha. This caused them to ignore their training and focus more Sasuke. Also due to Ino's parent-biased opinion against him, Ino would go out of her way to try and make Naruto's academy experience as bad as possible. She would constantly try to make fun of him, agitate him, and sabotage him. Sakura, being Ino's best friend, joined in and started to annoy him. Luckily for them, Mayanaka had forced patience and self-control into Naruto's head. I still say you should have killed them all, Kyubi said. The rest of the class shuffled into the room. Ino and Sakura immediately charged into the room and sat near Sasuke. They tried their best to garner his attention, but Sasuke remained emotionless. Iruka walked into the room with a broad smile on his face. This was his greatest class that he has ever taught. A lot of them had amazing potential, and all they needed was a join to bring that potential out. Iruka walked into the front of the class and cleared his throat, try and catch his students' attention. Unfortunately for him, his students were paying no attention to him. Iruka cleared his throat once more, but louder. But still his students ignored him. A tick mark appeared on his forehead. Shut the hell up, you lazy excuse for ninjas, Iruka yelled. All of the students went quiet at Iruka's voice. Iruka grinned when he noticed he had their undivided attention. Okay, class. We will take roll and then we shall take the exam. I hope that you all prepared well for this, Iruka said. Iruka then began to take roll. He got all the way down to the list and reached Naruto's name. He paused for several seconds before saying his name. Naruto Uzumaki, Iruka said. Silence greeted Iruka and the class. The class looked to where Naruto usually sat and saw that it was empty. Has anyone seen Naruto? Iruka asked with hidden mirth. He knew that if Naruto missed the exam, he couldn't be a ninja at least for another year. Nobody in the class has seen Naruto actually. Iruka's face actually broke into a small grin. Well, I guess we just have to mo. Iruka had to stop in the middle of an explanation when a face interrupted him. Here a voice said. The class plus Iruka all looked towards the voice. They all looked at Naruto's usual seat. The air around the seat started to ripple and distort until it revealed Naruto sitting in the seat. He had his white jacket and white ANBU pants. The whole class looked in shock at Naruto's sudden appearance. The fuck just happened? Kiba asked. Nobody has an answer for that. Naruto sat in his chair with a smug smirk on his face. Iruka cursed under his breath. Now he had to allow him to take the test. Ah yes, Naruto. Thank you for gracing us with your presence, Iruka said. The class giggled at Iruka's sarcasm. Naruto ignored the jab by his teacher and laid his head down. Iruka continued the roll. In the middle of it, the co-teacher Mizuki appeared with an apologetic look on his face. Iruka gave him a joking look of anger before finishing the roll. He then reached into his desk and took out a several test. He slowly walked throughout the room handing out of the test. When he got to Naruto, he gave him a hard look, which Naruto returned. He slowly handed him the test before walking away. Iruka finished passing out the test and stood in front of the class. You will have a whole hour to complete the test. We will be stopping at 10 o'clock exactly. You may begin, Iruka said. The class all collectively shot their head down and started to take the test. Naruto smirked and then started to take the test. He breezed through the test, already having the answers memorized from earlier. After 10 minutes, Naruto turned his test over and leaned back in his chair. Iruka and Mizuki looked in shock that Naruto finished that early, but then they theorized that he probably just wrote random answers. Naruto had to wait for 50 minutes for his other classmates to finish. The first one to finish after him was Sakura, who finished 30 minutes into the test. Sasuke, Ino and Hinata soon finished after her. Shikamaru, Choji and Kiba were some of the last ones to finish. Once 10 o'clock came around, Iruka immediately stopped the test. He collected each of the tests as Mizuki led the children outside. They arrived at a massive target range. Scattered across the field were targets of different sizes and shapes. Iruka met Mizuki and the students outside in the range. He had a clipboard in his hands and a bucket of shuriken, kunai and senbon. This is the accuracy part of the test. Ninja tools are very important tools of a ninja. They could save your life when you run out of chakra. There are 3 targets in the field. The closest is 1 point, the middle is 5 and the farthest is 10. You have 50 throws. Now Shino, you are first, Iruka said. Shino stepped up the drawn line and started to throw the ninja tools. After a minute of throwing he finished. Shino, that was very impressive. 401, Iruka said. Mizuki went and took all the tools out of the target. This rotation continued until it was Naruto's turn. Naruto stepped up to the drawn line and reached into his jacket. A small puff of smoke floated out of his jacket. Naruto pulled his hand out of his jacket, revealing it to be filled with all type of thrown weapons. Kunai, shuriken and senbon could be seen blurring through the air and implanted themselves into the target. Naruto watched in amazement, as each weapon seemed to be a kill shot. After several seconds of throwing, Naruto stopped. Iruka looked at the target, and saw that it was riddled with weapons. He quickly counted the weapons and smirked. That's only 4. A white blur came flying past Iruka and buried itself between the eyes of the dummy. -9. Iruka finished. Naruto stood with a smirk. The senbon made contact with the dummy. Iruka and Mizuki gasped when they noticed that Naruto had gotten a perfect score. Wow! Great job, Naruto. 500. Iruka said, still in shock. Show off. Kyubi said. Mizuki was about to go remove the weapons but stopped when he saw them shaking in the targets. The weapons went flying off of the target and towards Naruto. Naruto opened his jacket, and the weapons seemed to fly into them. Naruto closed his jacket when the weapons were all in his jacket. Naruto looked back up and noticed that his Senbon was still in between the eyes of the target. He increased his chakra slightly, and then Senbon went flying out of the target. The Senbon went straight into Naruto's mouth where Naruto caught it with his teeth. Naruto grinned and then walked back over to his classmates. They all were in shock that the dead last had gotten a perfect, and used some strange techniques to retrieve his weapon. Iruka continued the test nonetheless, still in shock that Naruto had gotten a perfect and his weird technique. The closet person to Naruto was Sasuke Uchiha, who only got 425. Sasuke seemed very annoyed at this fact. After all the students finished their test, Iruka led them to a small arena. He waited for Mizuki to arrive before explaining the next part of the test. This will be the taijutsu part of the test. You will be paired with a random student, and you two will fight. Mizuki and I will be watching each match to see how you are doing. Remember, the object is to do well and not to win. If you are knocked out of the ring, you are eliminated from the match. Iruka stopped to make sure the students understood. Now, due to the odd amount of students, there will be a match of 3. I will need 3 people to volunteer for the match, Iruka said. Immediately Hinata and Sasuke's hand shot up. After that, nobody else volunteered. Naruto, seeing this, sighed and raised his hand. Iruka saw this and then wrote something down on his clipboard. Okay, so Naruto, Sasuke and Hinata will be in the 3-way match, Iruka said. Sasuke and Hinata looked at Naruto with an arrogant look. Naruto calmly walked away and sat against a tree. He pulled his hood up and then disappeared from the class's sight. Shino versus Choji, Iruka said. Shino and Choji walked into the ring to begin the match. Now, seeing that most of the girls were creeped out by Shino and Choji was fat, none of the girls were paying attention. Most of the girls went straight for Sasuke to try to garner his attention, but Hinata was not one of those girls. Ever since she started the academy, she had been disgusted by behavior of her fellow female classmates. They would spend hours fawning over the Uchiha while neglecting their training. This caused them to be weak and stupid. Now Hinata couldn't completely make fun of these girls because she was once one of the girls. But instead of Sasuke, it was Naruto. She would spend hours watching him without him knowing. He was the only thing that was allowing her to continue living. Of course, things weren't that simple. Flashback. Today was the last day of the second year of the academy. They would take a series of tests to test their taijutsu, ninjutsu, weapon skills and knowledge. Hinata had taken the entire test and was fairly confident she did well. Hinata walked out of the academy and was about to start following Naruto. But as soon as she took a step towards him, a hand landed on her shoulder. She looked back and saw that it was her cousin, Niji. Hinata-sama, Hayashi-sama demands your presence immediately, Niji said. Hinata didn't even get a chance to reply before she was shined in front of her father's office. Niji roughly pushed towards the door, which Hinata went barreling through. Once she caught her balance, she looked up to see her father staring at her with a harsh look with papers in his eyes. Hinata, do you know why I called you here today? Hayashi asked. Hinata nervously shook her head no. She really had no idea what she was here for. Hayashi stood up and slowly walked around his desk. His every footstep seemed to crackle with the floorboard. Hayashi stood in front of Hinata, staring down on her. Hinata felt like she wanted to cry as she slowly shrunk into her jacket. I had your teachers immediately send me your test results today. You were ranked 6th out of the class, Hayashi said. Hinata paled when she heard this. Her father had promised her that if she got anything lower the second that there would be bad consequences. Hinata, I am greatly disappointed in you. I have tried to train you personally in the hope that you would improve. Unfortunately and obviously you have failed greatly. So I have but to allow the council to take over your training, Hayashi said. Hinata paled ever more, if it was possible. She knew the council's training was leagues harder than her father. BB but FF Hinata tried to stutter out. That's enough, Hinata. I don't want to hear you excuses. You are to report to the council, Hayashi said. Hinata nodded as tears started to stream down her face. She slowly got up and walked to the door. She opened it and was about to close the door before Hayashi spoke out. I just want to let you know that I am very disappointed in you. Your mother expected great things in you. I have to say that she was completely wrong, Hayashi said. Hinata slowly closed the door. That was the statement that changed her completely. For the summer vacation, Hinata was placed under the tutelage of the council's training. This basically consisted of her battling high-level Hyuga and attempting to beat them. The council was surprised, however, when Hinata actually defeated several of the Genin-level Hyuga. They also noticed that she had a massive shift of behavior. She had grown cold to everyone, even her little sister. After training for 6 months, Hinata had gone through a huge shift. She was arrogant, prideful, and strong. One thing that had also diminished was her obsession with Naruto. The council had pounded into her head that he was scum and was below her. Unfortunately, it got to her, and her obsession had almost been destroyed. End of flashback. While Hinata was reminiscing, Iruka had breezed through the rest of the matches. It was now hers, Sasuke and Naruto's turn. Hinata, Sakura and Naruto all walked into the ring and stood in opposite corners. Iruka jumped in the middle of the ring. Are you ready? Iruka asked. Kill them. Tear them limb from limb. Feast upon their blood. Kyuubi said. Naruto had to admit it was a tempting offer but decided to ignore the suggestion. Hinata and Sasuke nodded. Iruka looked to Naruto and saw that he was yawning. Iruka sighed and decided to take that as a yes. Begin. Iruka said while jumping out of the ring. All three fighters stood still as the match started. Hinata and Sasuke had immediately slid into a defensive stance. Naruto stood still with his hands in his pocket. Naruto sighed when he saw that neither one of his opponents were going to move. He should have guessed since both of their styles relied on reaction. I am going to make this nice and quick since I have things to do today, Naruto said. The two other students watched, as Naruto seemed to slowly crouch down on the floor. They let out a small gasp when he disappeared from their sights. Seconds later they both looked around nervously in trying to find Naruto. Sasuke keeled over, blood coming out of his mouth. Naruto flashed into sight with his fist buried in Sasuke's stomach. Naruto smirked, and his hand shot up to Sasuke's neck. Naruto popped up, slightly shifted his center of gravity and threw Sasuke towards Naruto. Hinata's eyes widened in shock as Sasuke's limp body came flying towards her. She quickly sidestepped the body and watched him crash into the wall. Hinata had to wince as she saw blood start leaking out of his mouth. Hinata turned around to face Naruto but was met with a surprise. Naruto was flying through the air with his foot outstretched. Naruto's foot slammed into Hinata's face and sent her flying into the wall right along with Sasuke. Naruto gently landed on the ground. The whole entire class stood in shock. Naruto's hand managed to defeat Hinata and Sasuke in under 10 seconds. Iruka and Mizuki both looked in shock at Naruto. He had managed to defeat two of the top academy students. Mizuki ran over to the downed students to see if they were all right. He noticed that both were unconscious. Sasuke had a broken rib and mild concussion. Hinata had a dislocated jaw and bruising all around her face. I'll take them to the medical center, Mizuki said while slinging the two over his shoulder. Iruka nodded, still in shock. Mizuki disappeared in a slight burst of speed. Iruka finished the rest of the matches, but everybody was still in shock at the last match. Sasuke's fangirls tried their best to sneak away from the matches and check up on Sasuke, but Iruka would stop them each time. When Sakura and Ino finished their matches, they immediately paired up with each other and marched over towards Naruto. Naruto had his hood on, so he was completely ignoring the girls. The girls stood in front of him impatiently tapping their feet. A loud snore erupted from Naruto, showing that he had been asleep the entire time. Naruto baka, wake the hell up, Sakura yelled while reaching for Naruto's hood. Sakura's hand came within inches of touching Naruto before he shot up and grabbed her by her wrist. Sakura felt a high amount of voltage come surging through her body. Naruto remained holding Sakura's wrist for several seconds before letting go. Sakura fell to the ground, a twitching and slightly smoking mess. Naruto slid his hood off and stretched. He let out another loud yawn before looking down at Sakura. He made an agitated look before looking up at Ino with a bored look on his face. Do you want something, Ino? Naruto said. Ino contemplated just taking Sakura and leaving. Unfortunately, her ego and stupidity caused her to stay. Actually, I do. Why the hell did you do that to Sasuke-kun? You could have killed him, Ino yelled. I fought him. It was a taijutsu match. It was his fault for getting his ass beat. If you want to yell at someone, yell at him, Naruto said. Sometimes I wonder who is more sadistic, me or you, Kyuubi said. Ino was about to reply but heard Sakura moaning in pain. Fortunately for Sakura, Ino cared more about her friend's safety than chewing out the dead last. Ino huffed angrily before dragging Sakura away. Iruka led the rest of the class into the building. Naruto saw that Hinata and Sasuke were both seated. Naruto could see that Sasuke's midsection was wrapped in bandages. He also had several wrappings around his neck. Hinata's whole right side of her face was covered in bandages. They both looked dazed. When their eyes landed on Naruto, anger filled them quickly. Naruto smirked at the two and started to taunt them. He would raise his middle finger at them and flex his biceps. And it was honestly driving Hinata and Sasuke insane. The students filed into their seats as Iruka walked to the front of the classroom. Once the class was settled into the seats, Iruka began explaining the last part of the test. This will be the last and most important part of the test. This is the ninjutsu part. It requires you to do the substitution, henge and clone techniques. You will go alphabetically and one at a time. First is Shino, Iruka said before leading Shino out of the hallway. For the next 30 minutes, Naruto watched as his fellow students walk in and out of the classroom. Some of them walked in with proud smiles and headbands wrapped around different places on their bodies. Some of them walked into the room with the defeated looks on their face and their head hung low. Finally, after 30 minutes, it was Naruto's turn. He went out into the hallway and immediately entered the adjacent room. He saw Mizuki and Iruka sitting behind his desk. The desk had headbands placed on it. Okay, Naruto. Let's just make this simple. I really don't like you and you really don't like me. Let's not play around. Just do the required jutsu so we can remove each other from our size. Iruka said with an irritated tone in his voice. Naruto grunted before being enveloped in a puff of smoke. When the smoke cleared, the two touches froze in fear at what Naruto hinged into. Naruto had turned into a pure white panther. The panther slowly stalked towards the teachers with a menacing look on its face. Iruka and Mizuki were about to attack it before it went up in a puff of smoke and turned back into Naruto. Naruto, I said, no jokes. I should fail you for disobeying my order. Iruka said, but you can't. I did what you asked of me. Naruto said. Iruka growled because he knew this to be true. What was that creature anyway? Mizuki asked curiously. That is none of your business. Naruto said. Mizuki growled at Naruto's vague answer. He then smirked when he came up with an idea. I'm sure that the Hokage would know. Mizuki said with a smirk. Actually, the Hokage does not know of these creatures. Now I would appreciate it if we could continue on with the test and not with my interrogation. Naruto said. Mizuki was about to reply, but a hand from Iruka stopped him. Mizuki growled and then settled back into his chair. Iruka waved his hand angrily, motioning Naruto to continue with the test. Naruto nodded, and with a hand sign and a cloud of smoke, the chair was now in his place. Naruto reappeared back in front of the duo seconds later. Now all Naruto had to do was to do the clone jutsu. The teachers watched, as Naruto seemed to take several deep breaths. Slowly sparks started to dance along Naruto's body. As more time passed, the sparks became more and more numerous. The teachers took cover as the sparks came rocketing towards them. They heard a loud poof and looked back over the table. Naruto stood in his same place. But now he had a clone standing next to him. The teachers could see that the clone was a perfect copy of Naruto. They both sighed at the fact that stood before them. Naruto, you pass. Iruka forced out. Naruto grinned before picking up a headband. He put his in his pocket and started to head for the door. He stopped as his hand reached the handle. You two are pathetic pieces of trash that I would love to kill at the moment. Fortunately for you, I have so much anger against both of you I doubt I can make it look like an accident. So I will just have to leave with this. Fuck the both of you, Naruto said before slamming the door shut. Naruto walked out of room and back into the classroom. All of the students looked at him with expectant eyes. When they saw no sight of a headband, most of them smirked. I knew you were going to fail. Your victory against me was just a mistake, you pitiful dead last, Hinata said arrogantly. Naruto walked up to her and reached into his pocket. Hinata's muscles started to coil in trying to prepare to defend an attack from Naruto. Instead, Naruto's hand flew out with a headband enclosed in it. He waved it in front of Hinata's face before sitting in his usual seat. Maybe I should get you some glasses because it's obvious you can't see. And here I thought the Hyuga had all-seeing eyes. You just proved that wrong, Naruto said. You told her, Kyubi said. Hinata growled once again at being looked at like an idiot. It seemed that Naruto was doing that to her a lot recently. The remaining students took the exam. When everyone was finished, Iruka and Mizuki walked out with proud faces. I am happy to say that 80% of you passed the exams. I am so proud to see the progress all of you made over the years, Iruka said with a wide grin on his face. Mizuki stepped up and started to talk to the class. Now for you who passed, your team will be announced at 9 a.m. next Friday, Mizuki said. Now you are all dismissed for the last time. Enjoy your ninja careers, Iruka yelled out. The passing students all charged out of the door cheering wildly. Naruto disappeared in a shunshin. Naruto reappeared sitting in a booth. He looked across from the booth to see Anko sleeping with her head down. Naruto smirked and then slowly leaned into her ear. Wake up, Anko-chan. Your Naruto-kun is here to pleasure you, Naruto said in a low and whispery voice. Anko shot up with a massive blush and a slight nosebleed. She looked up and saw Naruto smirking at her. She growled when she realized what Naruto had done. You're an asshole. You woke me up from a really good dream, Anko said with a growl. Did the dream have me in it? Naruto said. Anko leaned closer with a smirk on her face. And what if it did? Anko asked. Naruto slowly leaned even closer to Anko. I think I will have to make your dreams your reality, Naruto said with a seductive tone in his voice. Anko backed away blushing madly. Naruto backed away with a wide smirk on his face. He then dug into his pocket and slammed his headband on the table. Anko looked at the headband in shock. Congratulations, GKI. You're finally a ninja, Anko yelled while wrapping Naruto in a gigantic hug. Naruto blushed at the feeling of his face against Anko's. After several seconds, Anko let go of the hug and sat Naruto back down into his seat. So do you know who is on your team? Anko asked while eating a piece of dango that mysteriously appeared in her hand. Naruto leaned back into the chair and closed his eyes. I actually don't know for sure. I have to wait till Friday to know. So I am free all this week, Naruto said. What do you plan on doing? I know you don't like to sit around and do nothing, Anko said with her hand on her cheeks. Actually, I planned on spending the week in the Forest of Death. I need to train up more on my survival skills. I doubt I will be able to do so while I am a genin, Naruto said. I think you just want to be close to me, Anko said teasingly. And what about if I did? Naruto said with a smirk. The two stared at each for a while, and then busted into a bout of laughing. The two continued to talk for hours and hours, just enjoying each other company. By the time they were finished, they had managed to eat a combined 36 plates of dango and 37 bowls of ramen. The two said their goodbyes before going their separate ways. Naruto was on his way to his apartment to get his survival supplies. Hiruzen had managed to get him an apartment several weeks after his birthday. It was isolated from the rest of the village. Just as Naruto was about to open his door, he felt a presence behind him. He turned around and saw an ANBU with a cat mask. "The Hokage requires you presence," the ANBU said. The ANBU didn't even wait for Naruto to reply before attempting to grab Naruto's shoulder. But the ANBU had to recoil when he felt a high amount of voltage run through his system. He stepped back in pain. Naruto looked at the stunned ANBU with a bored look on his face. "I think I can get there myself," Naruto said. Naruto put his hands in a hand sign and concentrated his chakra. A bolt of lightning struck near him seconds later. When the dust cloud, which was caused by the lightning strike, disappeared, Naruto was gone. In the Hokage Tower, Hiruzen was once again battling his immortal enemy, paperwork. He had sent his ANBU to collect Naruto. But he wanted to get as much of this dreaded paperwork over. Hiruzen heard a loud boom that sounded like thunder. He looked out of the window and saw that it was a clear day. A lightning strike crashed through his roof and impacted against the floor. When the lightning strike stopped, it was revealed to contain Naruto. "Hey, old man. What do you want?" Naruto asked. Hiruzen was about to ask about the lightning but decided against it. He knew it would bring up some issues that he would rather not deal with now. "Naruto, you may want to sit down for this," Hiruzen said. Naruto shrugged at Hiruzen's weird behavior. Hiruzen took in a deep breath before speaking. "Naruto, you contain the QB. Naruto, you are the container of the QB," Hiruzen said bluntly. Naruto sat there staring at the man. Hiruzen was waiting for Naruto to reply. Hiruzen tried to discern even a single emotion from Naruto's face but picked up nothing. Hiruzen heard Naruto sigh before looking at him. "I already knew that," Naruto said bluntly. Hiruzen looked in shock at the news. He had never expected the boy to already know he contained the QB. "How do you know?" "Who told you?" Hiruzen said hastily. "I figured it out by myself. Plus, it really wasn't a well-kept secret," Naruto said. Hiruzen sighed and then seemed to sink even further into his chair. "So have you made contact with it?" Hiruzen asked. "Actually, I have. It is a very annoying entity. It constantly encourages me to kill villagers while also threatening to kill me. Although his threats are hollow, as I would never let him escape," Naruto said. "You're making look like a..." Kyubi growled inside of Naruto's mind. Naruto grinned cheekily at Kyubi's anger. When Hiruzen heard that Naruto had been talking to Kyubi, he shot up in his chair. "Naruto, when did you start communicating with the Kyubi?" "That process wasn't supposed to happen until you at least turned 18, Hiruzen said. "While I was in the coma. The lightning strike seemed to accelerate everything about my body, so I am not surprised that it affected the seal," Naruto said while crossing his arms. Hiruzen looked at Naruto but had to avert his eyes from the harsh glare Naruto was giving him. "So I am guessing you are mad about me not telling you about the QB earlier?" Hiruzen said. "Honestly, I don't really care. The information would not have and did not have any effects on me whatsoever. While I don't appreciate you keeping person secrets about me for myself, this secret holds no value. Now if this all, I will be taking my leave," Naruto said while promptly walking out the office. Hiruzen slumped into his chair when he heard the last part of Naruto's speech. "If only you knew, Naruto-kun, if only you knew," Hiruzen said while staring out of the windows of his office at the Hokage monument. "With Naruto, you know he is keeping secrets from you. I say we charge back into the old monkey's office and interrogate him," Kyubi said. Naruto stopped to consider the offer before continuing his mad charge through the village. "Shut up, Kyubi!" Naruto yelled out loud. Naruto stopped and looked around. Did he just say that out loud? By the looks the villagers were giving him, he could probably say yes. Naruto huffed and continued walking through the village. After several minutes of mad stomping, he reached his destination. Naruto jumped over the massive gate that surrounded the whole forest of death. Naruto landed crouched on the ground with a pissed-off look on his face. Naruto released a massive roar before bounding into the forest. "I love it when you act like this," Kyubi said. In the forest, a collective shiver ran through the creatures of the forest. Whoever had made that roar was pissed off and looking for blood. 1 week later, Naruto slowly walked through the gates of the forest with a huge grin on his face. Now the grin was disturbing itself, but the fact that Naruto was also covered with an obscene amount of blood seemed to magnify the creepiness. Naruto had spent the last week slaughtering the forest of the creatures and taking out his anger. He had survived purely on the plants of the forest and the meat of the creatures he killed. But now Naruto was calmer, albeit still a little pissed but much calmer. It was the day he was going to be assigned to his Jonin instructor. Naruto contemplated going into class covered in blood but decided not to. He didn't need to give Hiruzen more reason to think that the Kyubi possessed him. Who would think that little old me would try to hurt someone? Kyubi asked with an innocent tone in his voice. Naruto let out a short giggle at Kyubi's tone. Naruto arrived at his apartment and entered it. He discarded his bloody clothes and jumped into his shower. After a 10-minute shower he desperately needed, Naruto exited the shower with nothing but a towel. He went to grab his new clothes but got a surprise instead. Anko was currently sitting on his couch, watching TV and eating several packs of his ramen. When she heard him, she turned to him and waved at him. "Hey Naruto," Anko said, then turned back to watching TV. Naruto stood there awkwardly as Anko watched TV. After a while he shrugged and picked up his clothes. He activated the seals inside of the jacket, and the blood seemed to burn off his clothes. After making sure he had everything, Naruto dropped his towel. Anko had so happened to be looking over at Naruto when he dropped his towel. So she had gotten a full view of Naruto's package. And what a package it was! The hell, Naruto? Put some clothes on, Anko said with a massive blush on her face. Naruto grinned and then turned to her. If possible, Anko blush increased. Well, it is my apartment so I can prance around naked if I want to. If you don't like it you can leave, Naruto said with a smirk. Anko said nothing and then awkwardly returned to watching TV. Naruto grinned and they continued to get dressed. So today's the day you get a Jonin sensei. Are you excited? Anko asked. Naruto pulled up his pants and turned back to Anko. Not really. I just hope my sensei is not a dick, Naruto said. Anko giggled at Naruto's blunt answer. Naruto finished getting dressed and sat down on the couch next to Anko. Anko looked confused and Naruto started to watch TV with her. Don't you need to be getting to the academy? Anko asked. Nah, I can be a little late, Naruto said. Anko shrugged at Naruto's behavior. For the next 2 hours Anko and Naruto sat on the couch, watching TV and eating ramen. Finally, after the 2 hours were over, Naruto decided it was time to leave. Well, I think being 2 hours later is enough, Naruto said while suddenly standing up. Anko pouted at the fact that Naruto now had to go. Agaki. Why are you leaving your Anko-chan so soon? Anko said with bottom lip quivering. Naruto grinned and then softly patted Anko's head. Sorry Anko-chan, but I gotta go meet my sensei, Naruto said. Naruto walked to the door and was about to open it but stopped. He looked back to Anko with a small blush covering his face. Anko looked confused at this. It usually took a lot to make Naruto blush. Naruto walked over to Anko with his hand behind his head. Anko, I was wondering if you would like to go on a date after my meeting today, Naruto said nervously. Anko looked in shock at Naruto's question. When it finally registered in her mind, a big blush spread through her face. A wide smile soon followed the blush. I would love to go on a date with you, Anko said while smiling brightly. Naruto's nervous smile bursted into a massive grin. He smiled brightly and went for the door again. I'm guessing you are staying here, so I will see you after my meeting, Naruto said while shutting the door. When Naruto left, Anko slumped into his chair with a happy sigh. Honestly, she had been waiting for Naruto to say that to her for a while, and not that it finally happened she was ecstatic. Anko continued watching TV all while having a soft smile. With Naruto, Naruto was currently walking through the streets of Konoha with a massive grin on his face. Now seeing a happy Naruto was a very weird sight. So in all it was a very scary sight for the villagers. Naruto arrived at the academy with his grin still intact. He arrived at his homeroom, and then quickly controlled his features. He threw his hood over his head and went inside of his room. Now Naruto really didn't expect anybody to be in the room. He honestly only expected Irika to be there. But the occupants of the room surprised Naruto. Sasuke Uchiha and Sakura Haruno sat in the classroom alone. Sasuke was sitting in one of the corners of the room and Sakura seemed to be pestering him. Sasuke and Sakura turned to the door in hope that their sensei had finally arrived. Instead, the hooded Naruto greeted them. Naruto, Sasuke and Sakura locked EY hoods. As soon as Naruto saw Sasuke and Sakura, he turned around and slammed the door shut behind him. Are you fucking serious? I have to be paired up with those two. Is this some sort of punishment? I bet Hiruzen mad cause I was talking to the Kyuubi, Naruto said to himself. I bet Kami hates you, Kyuubi said. A man was currently walking through the hall towards Naruto. He currently had his face buried in a book. Due to his perverted giggles and blush that flushed his face, one could clearly see that the book was perverted. He continued walking down the hallway. Due to the amount of anger Naruto was feeling, he was unaware of the quickly approaching figure. The two collided into each other, and both of them went on the ground. Watch where you're going, Naruto said angrily. The figure stood up and looked down at Naruto. Naruto looked up and finally got a good look at the man. The man wore ANBU-style pants and shirt. He had a green vest on. The man had spiky silver hair that stood up on its ends. His headband covered one of his hands. The man seemed to smile before reaching out with one of his hands. I'm sorry. I guess this is a bad way to meet your new sensei. My name is Kakashi. I'm guessing you are Naruto, right? Kakashi said. Naruto grabbed Kakashi's hand but immediately had to let go. Kakashi was once again sent to the ground as Naruto's electrical touch shocked him. Naruto's sweat dropped as his sensei twitched on the ground for several seconds before jumping back up perfectly fine. Well, that stung a lot. Now let's go pick up your teammates, Kakashi said while starting to walk back to the classroom. Naruto groaned as he remembered who his teammates were. He reluctantly followed Kakashi back to his classroom. He saw him enter the room for several seconds before exiting. Kakashi looked back at Naruto, and I smiled. "Meet me on the roof," Kakashi said before disappearing in a shunshin. Naruto nodded and slowly crouched on the ground. When he heard Sasuke and Sakura come to the door, he exploded toward the door. A yellow blur seemed to fly through the stairwell. The blur slammed open the access door to the roof and stopped right in front of Kakashi. Kakashi looked in shock as the blur was revealed to be Naruto. Damn, that was fast, Kakashi thought. Naruto leaned against the wall and closed his eyes. Kakashi took this time to examine Naruto. From what he was seeing so far, the academy records were completely wrong. They said Naruto was a brash child that had minimal potential in being a ninja. But yet the kid was able to move near low Jonin speeds while he was an academy student. He also seemed very calm and collective. Kakashi also saw an abnormality in Naruto. He could see sparks actually flying off of Naruto's skin. It seemed like Naruto was creating his own electrical energy and giving it off through his skin. Finally, after several minutes of awkward silence, Sakura and Sasuke arrived. They took their seats next to Naruto, Sasuke to his right and Sakura to his left. Once Kakashi saw that his team was situated, he began to talk. "Well, hello everyone. One of you already know me, but the rest don't. I am Kakashi Hatake, and I might be your Jonin sensei," Kakashi said. Sakura gained a confused look when she heard might. "What do you mean by might?" "We passed the exams," Sakura yelled out. Kakashi threw another eye smile at the genin. "Well, you see, that wasn't really the exam. It was more like a ruse to weed out the weak genin. The test I will be giving you will be a survival test," Kakashi said. The news shocked the three genins. They all thought that this was the end. Only a third of the academy students will actually pass the real genin exam, but I don't think you need to worry about that. Not a single genin team has ever passed my exam, Kakashi said. This sent the genin further into shock. All the work they put in the academy could be washed down the drain if they failed this test. Well, enough talking about the exams. Let's introduce ourselves. You can go first, Pinky, Kakashi said while pointing at Sakura. Sakura huffed at Kakashi's nickname. "Why don't you go first, sensei?" "Just so we can know how we should do it," Sakura asked. Kakashi sighed then nodded. "Well, my name is Kakashi Hatake. My likes are a little too graphic for you. My dislikes I have a lot. My hobbies are reading. My dream is once again a little too graphic for you," Kakashi said while ending it with a nice smile. Naruto, Sasuke and Sakura all sweat dropped at the very vague introduction. Kakashi pointed at Sakura to signal her to go. "Well, my name is Sakura Haruno. My likes are..." Sakura stopped and looked at Sasuke. She let out a small giggle and had a small blush covering her face. "My dislikes are perverts, rapists and Naruto baka." "Well, fuck you too," Naruto shot back at her. Sakura glared at Naruto before continuing her introduction. "My hobbies are reading," and she stopped once again to stare at Sasuke. "My dream is to..." She stopped again to stare at Sasuke. She continued to stare at Sasuke. Naruto and Kakashi sweat dropped at the girl's behavior. Sasuke looked ahead, unaware of the girl that was next to him. "Look. Well, that was weird. On with you, emo boy," Kakashi said with a smile. Sasuke grunted at Kakashi's nickname for him. "My name is Sasuke Uchiha. My likes are few and none of your business. My dislikes are numerous and include this whole team. My hobbies are training. And my dream is to kill a man and restore my clan," Sasuke said with a monotone. Once again Naruto and Kakashi swear dropped at the weird intro. Sakura looked in awe at Sasuke's cool intro. "Well, that was interesting. Last and not least is little Speedy here," Kakashi said while looking at Naruto. Naruto looked at Kakashi with a mad look in his eyes. "Please don't call me that, Hatake," Naruto said. "My name is Naruto Uzumaki. My likes are ramen, jaguars and Anko-chan. My dislikes are windy days and spiders. My hobbies are training, eating ramen and hanging out with Anko-chan. My dream is none of any of your business," Naruto said. Kakashi nodded at the intro. That was the most normal one so far. Okay, those introductions so weren't real. "Well, you are to meet me at Training Ground 7 at 5 a.m. exactly. If you are late, that will count as an automatic fail. Bye now," Kakashi said before disappearing in a shunshin. The three students blinked olishly at their teacher's sudden disappearance. Naruto, guessing that they were dismissed, disappeared in a burst of speed. Only Sasuke and Sakura remained of the roof. Sakura saw that only her and her crush were left on the roof. She decided this was the best time to ask Sasuke out on a date. "Sasuke-kun, I was wondering if you would like to go on a date with me?" Sakura asked while looking down with a blush on her face. Sakura waited several for Sasuke to reply but heard nothing. She looked up and saw that Sasuke had left without her knowing. She fumed in anger when she realized that her crush had once again escaped from her grasps. "I will find you, Sasuke-kun." Sakura yell ranged through the village. Somewhere in the village a chill went down Sasuke's spine. He had a bad feeling something bad was going to happen. With Naruto, Naruto had arrived at his apartment steps. He walked up to it and opened the door. He saw that Anko was still on his couch, but now she was sleeping. Naruto smiled and then slowly walked up to her. He slowly shook her shoulder to wake her up. "Don't wake her up. Take her as yours while she sleeps," Kyuubi said. Anko, it's time to wamf. Anko tackled Naruto to the ground. He suddenly found a kunai to his neck. Anko looked at him with drowsy eyes. When he finally got a good look at him, a sheepish look appeared on her face. She slowly got off of him and helped him up. Sorry Naruto-kun. I sort of just let my instincts to take over, Anko said while helping Naruto up. Don't worry about it, Anko-chan. Are you ready for our date? Naruto said with a smile. Anko nodded and Naruto stuck his arm out. Anko looped her arm through Naruto's and the two headed out of the door. They walked onto the streets and were immediately bombarded by a wave of dirty looks. But Naruto and Anko paid no attention to the villagers' looks. After several minutes of walking, they arrived at a restaurant. The restaurant had a giant sign that said, Hidden Leaf. Anko looked at Naruto with surprise clearly shown on her face. The Hidden Leaf? Never expected something so fancy. How did you even get a reservation here? Anko asked. Naruto smirked and let out a short laugh. Don't you worry about that, Anko-chan. Just know that I always have my ways, Naruto said while leading Anko into the restaurant. As soon as the two entered the restaurant, and immediately knew they stood out. Everybody in the restaurant was either wearing a kimono or a dress. Naruto and Anko stood out with Naruto's completely white clothes and Anko's trench coat and her fishnet. Naruto walked up to the podium that was in the front of the restaurant. He was greeted by a sneer from the man that ran the podium. What are you doing here, boy? We don't serve your or her kind here, the man said. Naruto grinned and started to walk up to the man. He got within inches of him before stopping. Suddenly Naruto's hand shot out and grabbed the man's head. Naruto then slammed the man's head into the podium. If you would kindly look on that little list there, you would see that there is a reservation listed for Uzumaki. Now I would appreciate it if you would kindly lead us to our table, Naruto said. The man looked at the list as best as he could and saw that Uzumaki was listed there. He sighed in defeat and Naruto let go of his head. The man fixed his uniform before grabbing two menus. If you would kindly follow me, the man said before leading the two through the restaurant. As they were walking through the restaurant, they both received dirty looks. But Naruto would return the look with ones of his own that was harsher. After several seconds of walking, the two arrived at a table that was at the back of the restaurant. The two sat down and the waiter walked away. As soon as they sat down, Anko began to stare intently at Naruto. After a while, Naruto looked up from the menu and saw that Anko was staring at him. What? Naruto asked. How in the world did you get a reservation here? The waiting line for this place is days long, Anko asked. Well, I just used my power of persuasion to persuade the owner to let me and my date get a giggle. I gave him an offer he couldn't refuse, Naruto said. Flashback. Naruto was currently standing on the roof of the hidden lead. You see, he was planning to ask Anko on a date and surprise her with bringing her here. Naruto had plenty of money to take her here, but he doubted they would let him in. So he decided to have a little talk with the owner. It was late at night, and the hidden leaf had just closed several minutes ago. The owner was the only one left in the building. He walked out of the building and locked it behind him. He managed to take 2 steps before Naruto dropped onto him. Naruto grabbed his shoulder and electrocuted him. The man fell unconscious. Naruto picked up the man and disappeared in a shunshin. Several hours, the hidden leaf owner groggily started to wake up. He immediately tried to move his arms but found them bound. He looked behind him and saw that he was tied to a tree. He started to panic when he realizes he was tied to a tree in the middle of the night. Help me, help me. The man started to yell loudly. Suddenly the air around the man started to shimmer in front of the man. Naruto appeared in front of the man. When the owner saw who was in front of him, a sneer appeared on his face. I knew it. You are a demon. You captured me to kill me. The villagers will come for you. You will be the fur. The man was silenced by the back of Naruto's hand against his cheek. Will you just shut the hell up? I am not here to kill you, Naruto said, agitated. He really wanted to be asleep right now. Then why did you drag me here? The man said, confused. Naruto crouched down and came face to face with the man. All I want is a reservation to your restaurant for Friday. That is it, Naruto said. The man suddenly busted out into a bout of laughter. The laugh was mocking and was clearly getting on Naruto's nerves. The man stopped laughing and looked at Naruto with the "Are you serious?" look on his face. If you think I will risk my restaurant's reputation just to get you a reservation, then you are wrong. You will never dine in my restaurant, you demon, the owner said with finality in his voice. Naruto gave a short chuckle and then stood up to his full height. Heh, I figured you would say something like that, Naruto said. Naruto held up his hand and balled it up into a fist. Suddenly a massive amount of sparks started to fly off of his hand. Naruto then looked at the man with a bored look on his face. Now we can do this the easy way or the hard way. The easy way requires you to give me the reservations and you walk away unharmed. The hard way requires me to send hundreds of thousands of volts into your body, and then you give me the reservation. The choice is yours. Either way, I am going to have fun, Naruto said. The man's eyes darted in between Naruto and Naruto's fist. After several seconds of hard thinking, the man let out a sigh of defeat. You can have the reservations, the man said. Naruto grinned and started to untie the man. Once untied, the man stood up with a groan and started to stretch. He looked towards the village, and then turned back to Naruto. Hey, could you give me AR? The man was interrupted by Naruto's fist slamming into his cheek. The man fell to the ground unconscious. Naruto looked down onto the unconscious man. Don't you think that was a little harsh? Kyuubi asked in a sarcastic voice. TCH, bastard deserved it, Naruto said before picking up the man and shining away. Naruto appeared in front of the hidden leaf and dropped the man roughly to the ground. He then shined away, leaving unconscious man lying in the middle of the street. Naruto then walked down the street, disappearing into the night. End of flashback. Anko busted out in a fit of laughter as Naruto retold his story. The two continued their date for 2 hours before walking out of the restaurant. Naruto walked Anko home. They were now standing on Anko's doorstep. I really appreciate this date, Naruto-kun, Anko said. Naruto gave off a light smile and rubbed the back of his head with his eyes closed. Naruto's eyes suddenly flew open as Anko's lips connected with his. Naruto felt Anko deepen the kiss and deepened it himself. The two remained kissing for several minutes for they came up for air. Anko smiled at Naruto before walking into her apartment. Naruto walked through the village the happiest he has ever been. Next day, a loud and annoying alarm clock could be heard ringing throughout the apartment. The apartment continued to ring for several minutes before a kunai zipped towards it and smashed it. The kunai then zipped back under the covers and into the hands of the owner. A groan could be heard from under the covers. The covers were suddenly thrown off to reveal Naruto writhing on the bed. Naruto groggily got up out of the bed and went into the shower. After a 10-minute shower, Naruto stepped out and got dressed. After eating a breakfast of toast and rice, Naruto began his trek through the village. Now it was only 5 a.m., so the streets were relatively deserted. After a 10-minute walk, Naruto arrived at the training ground. The training ground consisted of a large clearing that was surrounded by a very dense forest. The clearing had a medium-sized lake that was kept in the back of it. Naruto walked to one of the thicker trees and climbed up it. He leaned against one of the thicker branches of the tree, threw his hood over his eyes and swiftly went to sleep. Couple hours later, a couple of hours had gone past, and several things had happened. Sasuke and Sakura arrived at the same time and began their daily ritual of Sakura pestering him and Sasuke ignoring her. Eventually Kakashi arrived in a flutter of wind and leaves. He got his yelling from Sakura before dropping his book. He gained a confused look as he didn't spot Naruto. And this is where we drop in. Has anyone seen Naruto? Kakashi said. Sakura, Sasuke and Kakashi all got a shock as Naruto suddenly appeared standing next to Sasuke and Sakura. Kakashi's sweat dropped at Naruto's sudden entrance. I'm right here, sensei, Naruto said. Kakashi nodded and then started his introduction. Well, as you know, today is your survival test. The main objective is to get these 2 bells, Kakashi said. Kakashi reached into his weapons pouch and pulled out 2 metal bells. Kakashi then saw Naruto grin out of the corner of his eyes. Kakashi's eyes widened as he felt Naruto's chakra spike very suddenly. Suddenly the bells came flying out of Kakashi's loose grip and into Naruto's hands. Done, Naruto said. Sasuke and Sakura looked at Naruto in shock since he had just technically completed their test. Kakashi's sweat dropped at the fact that Naruto had taken the bells so easily from him. So am I a genin yet? Naruto asked with a raised eyebrow. No, I didn't say go yet. Yes, that's the reason, Kakashi said while nervously rubbing the back of his head. Naruto sighed and then threw the bells back at Kakashi. Kakashi put the bells back into his pouch. Well, seeing as we are running late, let me just fast forward this. As you can see, there are only 2 bells. That means that 2 of you will pass. The other one will go back to the academy. So that the jest. Your test starts in 3, 2, 1, go, Kakashi said as he rushed the last part. Sasuke and Sakura immediately dashed into the forest. Kakashi looked at Naruto expectantly as he stood before him. You're not very smart, are you? Kakashi asked while flipping through his book. Kakashi heard Naruto let out a small laugh. Kakashi looked up from his book and saw Naruto throw his hood over his head. Kakashi's eyes widened as Naruto disappeared right before his eyes. Kakashi immediately put his book away and dropped into a defensive stance. He began to look around in an attempt to find the invisible Naruto. Suddenly Kakashi felt a strong punch come across his foot. Kakashi was lifted off his feet and into the air. Kakashi managed to right himself before landing in a crouch. You know, I could just end this right now, a voice rang out from behind Kakashi. Kakashi suddenly twisted around with a kunai in his hand. He hit nothing but air. I expected more from an elite jonin. The voice ranged out again. Kakashi turned around once again, but this time had his fingers up towards his mouth. A torrent of flame shot out from his lips and flew through the air. Unfortunately for Kakashi, he still didn't hit Naruto. So close yet so far. Naruto's voice ranged out once again. Kakashi growled and then reached into his pouch. His arm came flying out and several kunai and shuriken were sent flying through the air towards the voice. The weapon sailed through the air and flew uselessly into a tree. This is getting boring, Naruto said. Now Sakura and Sasuke were currently seeing a strange sight. Their sensei was seemingly attacking an invisible opponent. They watched as he threw kunai, shurikens, and jutsus toward the enemy. Unfortunately for him, It wasn't working. Kakashi had just got finished throwing another waves of weapons towards his invisible students, and honestly he was starting to piss him off. No matter how fast Kakashi reacted, Naruto managed to avoid his attacks. Kakashi sighed in defeat when he realized what he must do. He went through several hand signs and casted a small genjutsu over his face. He then pulled up his headband to reveal that he had a fully matured Sharingan in his eyes. Kakashi looked around in an attempt to find Naruto. He suddenly stopped when he detected Naruto's chakra signature. Gotcha, Kakashi said before taking off towards Naruto. Naruto grinned when he realized that Kakashi finally figured out a way to detect him. He quickly slipped into a defensive stance and waited for Kakashi. Kakashi reached Naruto and threw a heavy punch at Naruto. Naruto ducked under the punch and grabbed onto Kakashi's arm. Kakashi's eyes widened as he felt a gigantic amount of voltage enter his system. Kakashi attempted to get out of the grip, but Naruto was too strong. Naruto watched as Kakashi struggled to escape his electrifying grip. Naruto's eyes widened, however, when the Kakashi he was holding went up in a puff of smoke. 1,000 years of pain. Naruto heard Kakashi yell behind him. Kakashi was as Naruto went flying into the air. He was however disappointed when that Naruto exploded in a display of sparks. Kakashi turned around as he saw what seemed to be a lightning bolt approaching him fast. Kakashi ducked quickly as the lightning bolt went sailing through the air. Kakashi watched as the lightning bolt hit a tree and collapsed it easily. Don't want to be hit by that, Kakashi thought to himself. Kakashi turned around and started to run towards Naruto. Naruto grinned and then reached into his jacket. Kakashi's muscles tightened as he prepared to dodge any projectiles thrown towards him. Kakashi's suspicion was right. Naruto's hand blurred out from his jacket and launched dozens of weapons towards Kakashi. Kakashi grinned and then proceeded to duck and dodge through the wave of weapons. Kakashi reached Naruto and easily pinned him to the ground with a kunai against his neck. Do you forfeit? Kakashi asked. Kakashi watched as Naruto's smile seemed to increase. Kakashi's eyes widened as he felt Naruto's chakra spike once again. Kakashi turned around and saw that all of the weapons Naruto had thrown were now coming back towards him. Kakashi managed to shunshin himself into a nearby tree. Kakashi watched as the weapon slammed against the still Naruto. He sighed in release when he realized that Naruto was only a clone. Kakashi looked around the training ground to find Naruto. He found him standing in the middle of the training ground. Kakashi watched as Naruto threw a kunai into the base of the tree he was occupying. Kakashi heard Naruto say something and felt his chakra spike once again. Kakashi looked in confusion as nothing happened. Kakashi then heard a loud boom and looked up. Kakashi's eyes widened as he saw a bolt of lightning come down from the sky and towards him. Kakashi hopped from the tree and onto the ground as the lightning hit the tree. The tree fell to the ground in a burning and scorched mess. Kakashi looked back towards Naruto with a shocked look into his eyes. A genin should have been able to do those sorts of jutsus. Kakashi looked at Naruto cautiously. He was waiting for Naruto to make a move. Kakashi's muscles tightened as Naruto reached into his jacket. Kakashi's eyes widened as Naruto pulled out the two bells. He looked down in confusion at the two bells he had on his hips. He watched as they both went up in a puff of sparks. Like I said, I could have ended this minutes ago, Naruto said. But how? Kakashi said, honestly confused. Naruto grinned as he saw Sakura and Sasuke come out of the forest. I never gave you the bells back. I used my sleight of hands to switch the real bells with the lightning clones hinged as bells. You just so happened to fall for it, Naruto said. Kakashi face-palmed himself for falling for such a simple trick. He then looked up at Naruto with an eyes smile. So who will you give to other bell to Naruto? Only one of your teammates can go with you, Kakashi said. Naruto turned towards Sasuke and Sakura. Sakura had a very conflicted look on her face. It seemed like she didn't want Sasuke to fail, yet she still wanted to pass. Sasuke had a look that said, you better give me that damn bell or I will kill you. Naruto sighed and then threw a bell each towards Sasuke and Sakura. I choose both, Naruto said. Kakashi gave an eye smile towards Naruto. He then looked at all of his students. Congratulations. You're officially genin, Kakashi said. Naruto sat in one of the taller trees of Konoha along a very thick branch. He had his hood up and the only thing that was visible about him was the glint of the kunai he held. A small shadow skirted down below him. The figure ran across the forest floor, dodging fallen branches and overgrown roots. Naruto watched as the figure came to a sudden stop and leaned against a tree. Naruto's hand slowly went up to his ear. I have the target in my sights, Naruto said. The sound of static reached Naruto's ears. Has the identity been confirmed? Kakashi's voice rang out through the small earpiece. Naruto looked down and saw that the target remained in the same place. Naruto sent chakra into his eyes to confirm the figure's identity. He looked away slowly and his hand went back to his ear. Identity has been confirmed. I repeat, identity has been confirmed. Request to confront the target, Naruto said. Naruto waited several seconds for the message to get through the static. Negative. Sasuke and Sakura will confront the target. Provide support when necessarily, Kakashi said once again. Naruto grunted angrily and turned his head set off. Naruto watched as Sakura and Sasuke shot out of the trees and towards the figure. The figure ducked underneath Sasuke and latched onto Sakura's body. Naruto watched as the figure proceeded to scratch Sakura. Sakura's screams of pain ranged out of the forest. Sasuke shot back to Sakura in an attempt to help Sakura. The figure jumped off of Sakura and slid under Sasuke. It then bounded into the forest. Sasuke growled at the creature's escape and bounded into the forest after it, leaving Sakura lying on the forest ground crying over her wounds. Naruto, after laughing his ass off, turned his headset back on. Kakashi-sensei, Sakura is down. Sasuke has proceeded to pursue the target. Request to give support to Sasuke. Naruto said, request denied. Sasuke can handle the target. Give assistance to Sakura and bring her to rendezvous point. Kakashi said before signing out. Naruto grunted and then jumped out of his tree. He approached Sakura to find her whimper over her wounds. Naruto sighed and then roughly threw Sakura over his shoulder. She started to scream and protest as Naruto carried her fireman style through the forest. Eventually, after several seconds of running, the two arrived at a large clearing. Kakashi leaned against a tree while casually flipping through the pages of his latest porno books. When he looked up, he saw Naruto roughly drop Sakura into the middle of the clearing and jump up onto a tree. Kakashi shrugged and then went back to reading his book. Several minutes into their waiting Sakura, Naruto and Kakashi looked up as they heard a loud boom and a giant smoke cloud started to rise into the air. They then heard a chorus of screams and meows. Naruto let out a short laugh while Sakura looked on with worry. Kakashi ignored the smoke and continued to read. After 20 minutes of waiting, Sasuke entered the clearing with a smug cat under his arm. Sasuke was covered in scratches, burns and soot. He walked up to Kakashi and shoved the cat into his arms. Mission complete, Sasuke said with a pained voice. Kakashi gave a nice smile and held the cat in his arm. Good, now let's head back to the village, Kakashi said. As Team 7 walked back to the forest, Naruto decided to get a closer look at the cat. The cat was Tora, cat of the wife of the daimyo of Fire Country. Somehow this cat would escape a highly secured compound and end up near Konoha. Then the daimyo's wife would request a mission from Konoha to retrieve the cat. Now the cat has been a bane in every genin's life for the past 30 years. Its stealth and speed were off the charts. It would manage to hide for hours before actually getting caught. It has since been assigned a D-rank mission to capture the cat. Naruto continued to stare at the cat. The cat turned and growled at him. The hell are you looking at? A feminine voice ranged out. Naruto looked around in confusion at the sudden voice. He started to look around but saw no one else except for his team and the cat. He turned back towards the cat and pointed a finger at it. Is that you? Naruto said. Naruto's team looked at him in confusion as he let out a low meow. They then shook it off as Naruto just being Naruto. Yes, it's me, you fucking retard. I'm actually surprised you can understand me. Are you a cat? That would explain the whiskers, Tora said. Since you signed the Panther Clan and Panther are in the Panthera genus, who are related to cats, you can talk to animals which are related to jaguars. Kyuubi said. Whoa Kyuubi, never thought you were so knowledgeable. Naruto thought. Yeah, I have been sealed for about 200 years, so you start to learn stuff. Now stop looking retarded and respond, Kyuubi said. Naruto looked back up and saw the cat staring at him with a ticked-off look on its face. I'm sorry. No, I am not a cat. It just through some special circumstances that I can talk to felines. So why do you run away from the daimyo's wife so often? Naruto asked. The cat let out a pissed-off hiss when it heard the daimyo's wife. Because that bitch likes to torture me. Every single time she hugs me, I swear I can see Kami. She dresses me up in stupid outfits and flaunts me like I am a golden statue. Honestly, I want to kill that bitch in her sleep, but I doubt the daimyo would like that, Tora said. Naruto nodded in understatement. He would see how hard the daimyo hugged Tora and the remnants of the outfits Tora would rip off when she escaped. They were horrible. Naruto, are you okay? Kakashi suddenly asked. Naruto shot up to his full height and looked at Kakashi with confusion in his eyes. Why do you ask? Naruto said. Well, you have been growling and meowing at Tora for the past 10 minutes. Kakashi said. So? If I want to talk to cats, I will talk to cats. Now stop interrupting my conversations, Naruto said before ducking back down to continue his conversation with Tora. Kakashi blinked owlishly before shrugging his shoulder. He figured that he shouldn't be too concerned. Eventually Team 7 arrived at the Hokage Tower and gave the cat back to the daimyo's wife. Sakura and Sasuke managed to find pleasure in the pain the cat was given due to the tightness of the hug it was currently in. Naruto felt extremely bad for the cat but dare not speak out against the daimyo's wife. After she left, Kakashi turned to his team. Alright team, you are dismissed until tomorrow, Kakashi said. Sakura, Sasuke and Kakashi made their exit. Naruto was about to but was stopped by Hiruzen. Actually Naruto, I need you to stay here. I have some very important information to tell you, Hiruzen said with a sigh. Naruto shrugged and stood in front of the Hokage's desk. Hiruzen signaled him to sit down and Naruto took a seat in one of the many comfortable seats that littered Hiruzen's office. Hiruzen sighed once again before starting his talk. As you know, Anko was promoted to the rank of Jonin the week I was away on a diplomatic trip to Suna. As soon as she was promoted, she was assigned to S-class missions. Now normally the objective of these missions are classified, but due to this special issue, I'm able to tell you. She was to assassinate the Rock Daimyo. Now normally I wouldn't give a new Jonin this mission, but I was unaware of it. Hiruzen said. Well, why is this so important that you need to interrupt my training time? Naruto said, irritated. Hiruzen sighed and then took a necklace out of his pocket. He put it gently on the table. Naruto looked down and saw it was Anko's snake necklace. I'm sorry, Naruto-kun, it was a setup. As soon as she entered, she was screwed. Anko's dead, Naruto. Hiruzen said. Naruto sat emotionless in the chair. Hiruzen sat worried in his chair. He knew that Anko and Naruto had a very close relationship, and this would be heavy on his psyche. Naruto suddenly broke out in a fit of laughter. The laughter wasn't full of mirth or fun but desperation and denial. That's a good one, Aji-san. You almost had me there, Naruto said. Hiruzen sighed and dug into his pocket once again. He pulled out a bloody headband and sat it on the table. I'm sorry, Naruto, Hiruzen said. Why, you can't be serious, Aji-san. Naruto said. I'm afraid I am Naruto, Hiruzen said while lowering his head. Hiruzen waited several seconds for Naruto to reply but heard nothing. Suddenly he heard the explosive slam of his doors and looked up. He saw Naruto charging out of his office with a full lightning cloak activated. Hiruzen's eyes widened when he sensed Naruto moving towards the council room. Hiruzen dashed out of his room with his armor on. The council of Konoha was made of the clan heads of Konoha and the leaders of the civilian businesses. Everyone was assembled but were now waiting for Hiruzen. They felt an extremely large chakra signature moving towards them and tensed. Suddenly Naruto busted through the doors and landed on all fours. You are all going to die, Naruto said in a low whisper that still managed to reach through the whole room. The council looked on with confusion. What are you talking of? The man wasn't able to finish because he found Naruto's scimitar through his throat. The rest of the council looked in shock as Naruto decapitated one of the council members. Naruto picked up the head and threw it into a wall. ANBU, contain him, one of the civilians shouted. Several ANBU surrounded Naruto with their various weapons drawn. Naruto growled and launched himself at the closest ANBU. The Umbu prepared his sword for a strike but was surprised as it started to shake violently in his hands. He watched as his sword flew out of his hands and into Naruto's. Naruto appeared in front of the ANBU and impaled him with his own sword. The rest of the ANBU looked in shock that their teammate had been killed so easily but quickly got over it. Several ANBU started to go through hand signs and sent several fireballs towards Naruto. Naruto zipped between the fireballs, ducking and weaving to avoid the deadly projectiles. Naruto appeared in front of an ANBU. Naruto threw a punch at the ANBU. The ANBU maneuvered around Naruto's punch and attempted to put him in the grab. But instead he had several hundred thousands volts of electricity pushed into his body. He fell to the ground dead. His lightning cloak is powerful. Cover yourself in a thin cloak of wind chakra, the ANBU captain said. Naruto growled and launched himself back at the remaining ANBU. While in midair he went through several hand signs. Lightning release, zap cannon, Naruto yelled. A giant ball of electricity came flying out of Naruto's mouth. The ball landed in the middle of the group and exploded in a bright flash of sparks. 3 of the ANBU managed to jump away with no injuries, but the last 2 had the excess electricity enter their bodies. They were slightly paralyzed and rendered useless. Naruto reached into his jacket and started launch hundreds of kunai, shuriken and senbon at the 3 remaining ninja. The ninja had trouble approaching Naruto as they literally had to dodge a wall of weapons. After what seemed like thousands of weapons, Naruto stopped. He started to go through hand signs again, but the ANBU tried to stop him. Lightning release, chain lightning, Naruto yelled. Naruto held his hand up and a bolt of lightning hit the closest kunai and watched as the bolt of lightning jumped to the kunai. The ANBU had to dodge as several bolts of lightning would randomly jump to any weapon that was near them. After several minutes the lightning stopped, leaving some slightly scorched ANBU. They looked up to confront Naruto but saw that he had disappeared. They stood silently hoping that Naruto was not near them. Suddenly a sword came flying out of one of the ANBU's chest. The remaining 2 ANBU turned around and saw Naruto standing behind the ANBU with his sword through his chest. Naruto withdrew his sword and kicked the dead ninja toward the 2 remaining ANBU. He jumped into the air and once again started to go through more hand signs. Lightning release, running beast, Naruto said. Naruto landed on the ground and slammed his hands onto the ground. 2 panthers made out of lightning chakra appeared out of the ground. They charged at the 2 ANBU with a roar. The 2 beasts impacted the ANBU and exploded into a massive amount of sparks. The ANBU fell to the ground, twitching. Naruto turned to the council with his sword drawn. I'm going to kill every single one of you, Naruto said. Naruto crouched to the ground and prepared to confront the council. Suddenly Naruto felt a strong pressure on his neck. He fell to the ground unconsciousness. Hiruzen stood over Naruto with a sigh. He looked towards the ninja council and saw that they were actually impressed at Naruto's display. The civilian council, however, were cowering in fear. What the hell was that, Hiruzen? One of the civilian council members said. I told him about Anko. Those 2 had a very close relationship, so he snapped when he heard that you assigned her to the mission. Hiruzen said. That does not excuse him from trying to kill us. Another person on the civilian council yelled. Although I'm impressed with the boy's fighting skill, I have to agree with my counterparts. This boy tried to assassinate us and shall be punished accordingly. Hyuga Hayashi, leader of the Hyuga clan, said. A wave of agreement swept through the council. I say we execute the boy. One of the council member yelled. Arguments exploded in the council room decided whether to execute the boy. Silence. You all know we cannot assassinate the boy. The QB would escape immediately. Hiruzen said. I propose you hand the boy over to me for emotional training. He will learn how to control himself in instances like this. Danzo said. No, I refuse to give the boy to you. Hiruzen yelled. Then what punishment will the boy receive, Hiruzen? We cannot allow this boy just to walk free. He must receive a punishment. Hamura said. Hiruzen sighed as he realized the reality of his former teammate's words. He could not allow Naruto to go unpunished for this crime. It would seem biased and would only end him and Naruto in trouble. Hiruzen released another sigh as he slowly started to rub his temples. I propose that Naruto will be suspended from our ninja activities for an undetermined amount of time while he takes a psyche exam. During this exam he will have all of his chakras sealed off. If he fails, then he is to be put off of ninja duty until he has shown improvement. Are all in agreement? Hiruzen said with a heavy tone. Whispers broke through the council room as the different branches of advisors conversed with each other. After several minutes of talking, it seems like they had made their decision. Danzo stood up and faced the Hokage. We of the council have agreed on the terms. Danzo started. Hiruzen smiled at this. But only if that he fails the psyche exam that you hand him over to me for emotional training. Danzo said. Whispers broke out the room as Danzo's demand sunk into the mind of everyone in the room. Hiruzen suddenly shot up from his seat and slammed his hands upon his desk. Silence! He yelled loudly. Immediately a dense silence permeated the room. Hiruzen slowly began to look around the room while looking in each of the occupants' eyes. I for one am getting tired of your stubbornness, Danzo. I've already denied your request, and I will deny it again. Naruto will be examined by a certified Yamanaka psychiatrist, and we will decide for there. And that is final. Hiruzen said with a harsh voice. Unlike last time, no whispers came from the lips of the council. Most were scared to speak, fearful that if they did they would have to fear Hiruzen's wrath. Once Hiruzen saw that no one had any objections, he sat back down with a heavy sigh. You are all dismissed, Hiruzen said while waving his hand at them. After several seconds of hesitation, the council members slowly started to file out the room. After several minutes, all that was left was Hiruzen, his hidden ANBU, and the unconscious Naruto. Tora, put a basic chakra blocking seal on Naruto until I can get Jiraiya here. Also take him the NRP. Ninja Rehabilitation Program, Hiruzen said. A ninja wearing ANBU-style clothes and a Tora mask. The figure made several hand signs before lightly tapping its finger against Naruto's forehead. The ANBU then slung Naruto over its shoulder before disappearing with a shunshin. Hiruzen sighed once again before putting his head into his hands. Naruto's POV. All I could see was darkness. Darkness encompassed my business as I was completely swallowed by it. My head was filled with two words. Anko's dead. Those words bounced painfully against my skull until I gained a headache. But the headache was the least of my pain. The pain I was feeling in my chest hurt worst. The pain of losing a loved one stung worse than any headache I have ever had, worse than any stab wound, any of my breaking bones or destroyed organs. My mind subconsciously registered that the darkness that was surrounding me was lightening up. I was slightly aware that I was now sitting in what seemed to be a puddle of water. I briefly opened my eyes and realized I was inside of my mindscape. The pipes of the sewer were now back, but they seemed to be in a terrible condition. The water level seemed to have risen several inches. I could briefly hear the QB try to speak to me, but the words didn't register in my mind. I didn't feel like hearing his wise cracks or stupid comments about me being pathetic. I didn't feeling like dealing with his shit. I felt QB wrap one of its tail around me in a comforting way. I flinched at first before eventually succumbing to the warmth it was emitting. While it was no substitute for the pain I was feeling, it helped dull it slightly. As I lay wrapped in the tail of the great QB, I slowly drifted to sleep. Third POV. QB looked down at Naruto as the boy slept in his tail. Now usually QB would never be caught doing something like this, but he knew the pain the boy was going through. The pain of losing a loved one was great. QB was left depressed for several weeks after the sage finally passed away. QB laid his head down against his paws as he gave Naruto one last final glance. He then fell asleep too, unaware of the light blue eyes that were staring upon the very strange sight. Yakumo shot up from her chair as she cancelled her mind transfer jutsu. Hiruzen saw that she was finished her jutsu and sat up with apt attention. The trio were currently in Hiruzen's office, which had a bed located in it which Naruto was currently occupying. Yakumo Yamanaka wrote several long notes down upon her clipboard before addressing Hiruzen. Hokage-sama, after reviewing Uzumaki's son's memories and emotions, I have concluded that he is mentally fit. Although he shows signs of high-level depression at the news of Anko-san's death, his psyche still remains intact. If anything, I would recommend him a therapist and a little time off of ninja duty. Yakumo said. Hiruzen sighed in relief at the news. He quickly dismissed Yakumo before walking over to Naruto. What am I going to do with you, Naruto? Sometimes Naruto really hated his life. It has been a week since Naruto returned to his team from his little vacation. His re-welcome was indifference from Sasuke and Sakura. Kakashi welcomed him back with a nice smile. But that wasn't what bothered Naruto. What bothered him was his newfound paranoia. Naruto had to constantly fear of being kidnapped once again. He had managed to booby-trap his house to the point where it was almost impossible to enter unless you were Naruto. If it wasn't enough to deal with the paranoia of being kidnapped, the D-rank missions Naruto was forced to go on were pure torture. Even though they were a quick way to get money, they were useless. D-rank missions really showed the laziness that inhabited the civilians of Konoha. Most couldn't even paint their own fence or get their groceries. It was very demeaning to a ninja to be doing mere chores. Speaking of D-rank missions, Team 7 was currently in the Hokage's office trying to get one. The third Hokage was currently shuffling through his files. Let's see, you can paint Shimino-chan's fence. Or you could walk the Inazunka's dogs. Or Yuko Hiruzen went quiet when the files he was currently holding transformed into a pile of ashes due to Naruto's lightning bolt. I refuse to do any more of these useless chores. Naruto grunted out. Kakashi's sweat dropped at Naruto's outburst while Sakura and Sasuke nodded their heads in agreement. They both were tired of the missions also, and wanted to get something more excited. Hiruzen looked down at the pile of ashes that decorated his desk and looked up at Naruto. His eye was currently twitching in aggravation. He then took a heavy breath and looked at Naruto with a sickeningly sweet smile on his face. Since you are so eager to advance in your ninja career, I will give you a mission that is mandatory for all genin to complete. Kakashi, I am assigning you and your team to a raid. Hiruzen said. Kakashi dropped his books when he heard Hiruzen said raid. His eyes showed a massive amount of shock. Hokage-sama, with all due respect, don't you think they are too early in their career to go on a raid? Kakashi asked. This mission is mandatory for all ninja, so why not get it out of the way? Now there will be no objections. Here are your mission information. You have a week to complete the assignment. Hiruzen said while throwing a scroll at Kakashi. Kakashi caught the scroll with a sigh. Sakura looked at him with confusion in her eyes. Kakashi-sensei, what is a raid? Sakura asked. I'll tell you later. Meet me at the village gates in an hour. Be prepared for a week-long mission. Make sure to bring weapons. Kakashi said before disappearing in a shunshin. Team 7 dashed out of the room, wanting to get prepared for their first C-rank mission. Naruto stood in his room taking account of his weapons. 3,000 kunai, saban and kunai. 50 explosive tags. 10 chakra pills. Sharpening stone. 50 yards of chakra string. Naruto continued to list off his supplies. Hey dumbass, are you going to war or something? Kyuubi said. Naruto growled at the nickname. There is no such thing as being too prepared. Naruto thought back. Naruto sealed his supplies into a ceiling tattoo. He then of the door, after activating his security. He started to walk through the village. Naruto watched as the civilians carried on with their lives with unaware of the danger that stood outside of the walls of Konoha. Ignorant and pathetic villagers. Naruto thought with a sneer. Hey! Don't forget you were once like them. An ignorant and innocent child unaware of the dangers that always surrounded you. Kyuubi said. Yay, but I was 5. These people are grown adults. Naruto thought back. After having his little conversation with Kyuubi, Naruto arrived at the gate. The only person that was present was Kakashi, which surprised Naruto immensely. Naruto walked up to Kakashi and sat down next to him. Hello, Kakashi-sensei. Naruto said politely. Hello, Naruto-kun. Where is your equipment? Kakashi asked. Naruto lifted his arm and showed the sealing idea that ran down his arm. Although confused about where Naruto got the tattoo, Kakashi understood its use. The two then descended into a comfortable bout of silence as Kakashi read his book and Naruto closed his eyes to get some rest. After several minutes of comfortable silence, Sasuke and Sakura arrived. They both had book bags that seemed to be filled to the brim with items. Sakura looked extremely nervous while Sasuke had an aura of confidence. Once Kakashi saw his team was here, he put down his book. Okay team, we will be going on a raid. There is a bandit group that has been bothering one of the villagers that lay near the border of Fire Country. Our mission is to eliminate them. And by eliminate I mean kill. Kakashi said with a serious tone in his voice. Sakura and Sasuke looked on with shock. Naruto remained stoic on the outside but was actually pretty surprised. Kakashi smiled at his students. But do not worry. Your amazing sensei will be with you along the way to help you through the process. Kakashi said in an attempt to calm his genin. It partially worked as Sakura and Sasuke seemed to calm down. Now follow me. We should be there by tomorrow night. We will rest when the sun goes down. Move out. Kakashi said while bounding into the forest of Konoha. Sasuke, Sakura and Naruto dashed into the forest after him, preparing themselves mentally for the challenge that awaited them.